Hey, what's the deal, people? It's your boy Big Star, Raw Sports. RawSports.tv is the website. Raw Sports Films is the YouTube channel. Want to welcome you guys to another classic episode of Legends Week. Today we got my man John Celestan from Piscataway High School in New Jersey. He played star at Villanova, played professionally, you know, with the Lakers. He's going to talk all about that. But this episode is definitely going to be special because if I'm not mistaken, you know, he's my era, like truly my era. I believe he'll clarify. I believe class of '95, and I'm class of '95. You know, the majority of the Legends Week guests, you know, have been, you know, primarily, you know, from the Philadelphia area. But you know, anyone who knows, you know, high school basketball in the PA area, you know, you guys know throughout history, New Jersey is like the cousin of, you know, Philadelphia, you know what I'm saying? And definitely has been parallel with, you know, Philadelphia area basketball and Pennsylvania basketball throughout the years. Like, you know, I don't know any era of, you know, high school hoops here in PA, any league, you know, whether it's, you know, the summer leagues or anything like that, where it hasn't been some cats from New Jersey, you know what I'm saying, that were memorable. That, you know, cats from, you know, come right over the bridge and catch Freck, man. So this is going to be a classic. See, we got my man Celestan on. Going to get it popping. Celestan, the legend.
What's going on, Big Star?
I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. How you feel, big dog?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm feeling great, man.
Hey, let me get myself all set up here so I can see you. Almost there. Here we go. So it's good, man. It's good to have you as a guest, man. I'm for me personally. This has been years in the making, man. Ever since I saw you at Howard Brown's Eyeball United, you know,
Yeah.
basketball combine. You know,
Yeah.
I'm all right. I don't like to talk about myself. It's not about me. It's Legends Week. It's all about you. But just to sum up, Big Star, you know, I'm a hoop junkie, bro. At the core of who I am, I'm a hoop junkie. I love the old school. So when I was in the building that day, I remember like yesterday, in the corner of my eye, I'm like, wait, that's John Celestan. You know, just me internally just going through my hoop junkie process, and I'm a historian. So it was definitely a pleasure to run into you that day. You know, we exchanged some words, man, and you know, I definitely and we talked a little bit of hoops. You know, we talked about Shaheen Holloway and you know, threw some names around. So that definitely was special to me. So to be sitting here with you right now, man, you know, about to go back down memory lane, man. This is definitely something off my bucket list. So I appreciate you joining me, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me on, brother. It's good to always talk hoops, man, especially with everything we're going through right now, man. Just to be able to, like, just relax, reminisce, go back in the day. You know what I'm saying? People need an outlet, man.
Take our minds away for a minute.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, hey, two things, man. It's a lot of ground I definitely want to cover. Just want to go over some housekeeping things with you real quick. First thing is Instagram. They only give us an hour, like in hour chunks to talk. So if we close on the first hour, I'll just end this broadcast, save it, and start a new one. Two, at the very end, we'll have a little Q&A. You know, if people have any questions, I'll just let you, you know, answer some questions from the people, from some of the viewers. And two things about Legends Week real quick, man. The main goal of Legends Week and why I do this, man, is just exactly what I said when I started out my little presentation. Just paying homage to individuals like you, man. Me, Big Star, Raw Sports, my movement. I'm just doing all I can so that people never forget about John Celestan. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever want anyone to forget about your contribution, what you did at Piscataway. I mean, those are special moments, bro. I don't care where nobody goes in their life. You know, you could have like an engineering job on Mars. You know what I'm saying? Let somebody up there say, "Yo, I was at that Piscataway game versus such and such." You're gonna turn around and be like, "Well, who was there?" You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like those moments, man, hold a special place in all of our hearts. You know what I'm saying? So I just never want, you know, people to forget about your legacy and your contribution. And also, fast forward to now with the younger generation, I use this platform to educate the kids on individuals like yourself and all the guys who laid the foundation and paved the way. You know what I'm saying? So this is a really good teaching tool for the youth, man, to kind of learn from you guys' experiences. So thanks. I appreciate you joining me, man.
No problem, man. Anytime, man. Anytime, man. I'm telling you, back in the day, bro, that high school basketball, college, everything, but the high school, when I tell people, you know, I did a lot. Played for Villanova, went to the Lakers, went overseas. But when you're playing with people from your neighborhood that you grew up with,
Yep.
that's different, man. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? The battles we went through, that's a little different. So, you know, I got my high school stuff right back here.
I
People come
see
and
it.
talk all
I
the
see
time.
that.
They're
I
like,
see the picture
they're
back
like,
here. What's that photo back there? What is that?
oh, this right here, this one or this one?
The one on your left.
So this one right
August.
here.
Oh yeah, but just talk about both of them real quick.
Yeah, well, this one right here is me, in a state playoff game against Bridgewater Raritan, man. That's the great high school. Eric Murdoch, Jason Murdoch, those guys. They came a little bit before me, but I played a little bit after them. And this right here is a painting by a guy named Alonzo Adams. He's a famous black artist, African-American artist out of Plainfield, New Jersey.
Wow.
And he does a lot of great art for a lot of NBA players, NFL players. But Plainfield, New Jersey is right next door to Piscataway, New Jersey. And I got this a long time ago, man. I'm talking like probably in college. And
Wow, that's classic. Yeah. That's legendary, man.
He makes some great art, man. Lonzo Adams, check him out, man.
No doubt. All right, so we're gonna get right into it. It's a game I like to play. It's called 10 random questions. I'm gonna just shoot 10 random things at you just to kind of get you warmed up. You know, I know you got a broadcasting background, so I'm sure as soon as the lights and the camera come on, you ready to rock, man.
Yeah, been a while.
So all right, so we're gonna get right into it. So favorite let's talk about hip hop, all right? You know, Brick City, you know what I'm saying, Newark, you know, Redman, you know, Fugees, you know, Naughty by Nature. Who's one of your era, one of your favorite groups or individual rappers from New Jersey from your era?
From New Jersey. Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with all right, I'm gonna go with Fugees, man.
100%.
I'm gonna go with Fugees. And the reason why I'm going with Fugees is because when they came out was right around when I got to Villanova, and when Lauryn Hill, Wyclef, and them boys came out, that first album, The Score, man, legendary. I'm telling you, I killed it. Now, when I'm putting them over like Naughty by Nature, Redman, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That means a lot.
That means a lot. 100%.
I'm gonna go with Fugees.
But nobody would argue that though. I wouldn't argue that. Like pound for pound, like musically, like I mean, Wyclef, they played live instruments. Lauryn Hill was the dopest MC. The production, the score was like the score would go in like the hip hop Hall of Fame like forever. Like,
they got. I mean, there's a lot of guys, man. You can talk about Lords in the Underground,
yeah,
Poor Righteous Teachers,
yeah, PRT. Come on, now.
I mean, it's a lot of. Don't get it twisted, you know. Queen Latifah, she might be fun. Yes. Don't get it. And Redman, you know, everybody loves Redman, so I'm going with the Fugees.
No doubt. Most points you ever put in the box score at any level, summer league, high school, middle school, college, pro?
Man, I think I scored like 67 points at Gaucho Round Ball in the Bronx.
Okay.
I cannot remember the team we were playing, man. I just know it was a team from Brooklyn. We used to play in Gaucho Round Ball. Myself, you had the Patterson team with Tim Thomas and those guys.
Ooh.
You had the Gauchos, Stephon Marbury, Jamel Thomas, Sham God.
Oh my God! You're talking some names, man.
Oh, you had Riverside Church out of Harlem. You had the Brooklyn Queens Express. The Long Island Panthers had like Lamar Odom and Ed Brown and them guys. I mean, this was like, and it was during the week. So when you got out of school, you either had to get on a train or you had to get in the car. I would ride over with my man, my coach, AAU coach, Rich Leary. And we would ride across the bridge and go over there, but it was like during the week. So you played 2 or 3 times in the fall. But everybody from the New York City, North Jersey area, Shaheem Holloway and those guys, the Road Runners, they had a team as well. But yeah, I think I dropped like 67, man. I was on fire, man. I was on fire. I couldn't miss, man.
Yo, that's crazy.
And it was no fancy moves, no crosses, nothing. It was just straight jumpers, getting in the lane. And they was mad because it was so basic. You know what I'm saying? You know, New York, they want to see. It was so basic. It was so easy. You know.
Was it a quiet 67 or was it just?
It was an efficient 67.
An efficient fundamental 67.
Fundamental 67. Yeah.
No doubt. 80s. I don't care if you were like in what country you were in, what age you were. Everybody was a wrestling fan in the 80s. NWA, WWF, all that. Who's one of your favorite wrestlers or tag teams from the 80s?
Macho Man Randy Savage. Something about the Macho Man, the swagger that he had, That was my guy.
I love when he came on. He said, "Well, you know me, Gene."
Too much.
It was over from there.
Randy Savage. That was my guy right there.
Too much you mean.
Too much.
And I got Elizabeth.
And I'm garden tonight. That was my man right there.
Yo, nothing like those days, dog. In New Jersey, who did you look up to basketball-wise, whether it's one of your peers or some guys a little bit older than you?
Man, there were so many guys, man, at that time. You know, I remember in my early days, maybe 9th or 10th grade, going and watching Brevin Knight play. I remember going and watching the St. Anthony players play. I'm talking Bob Hurley. I probably was in 8th grade at this time. Bob Hurley, Roderick Rhodes, Jerry Walker, Terry DeHare, when they had those guys. I think there was the #1 team in the nation, man.
Wow.
So those guys. But honestly, as a peer, man, and I was older than this guy, but this guy had the name. It was Shaheen Holloway.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I remember having a game on the same night that Shaheen Holloway and St. Patrick was playing Trenton High School. And I wanted to see the game. So I sent my pops to that game to videotape that game so I could watch the game that night when he came back and still moves for Shaheen Holloway. That's how serious it was. So, you know, and Tim Thomas, you know, watching him play against him, he ended up being my teammate. Mm-hmm. All of those guys, man. But Shaheen Holloway, back then, he was the guy. He was the ticket. He was what everybody wanted to see. #1, you know, one of the best point guards in America. So I would go with him.
Man, I don't know if there's anybody better than him, man. I saw him play, you know, front and center. I didn't see any of his high school games. I wish I would have. I wasn't driving back then. But, you know, the legendary D'Onofrio Classic over in Conshohocken, postseason tournament. You know, Coach Sandy Panonen would bring the Road Runners over there to play. Yep. And man, when you know, it's like those tournaments. You know, you never really know who's going to show up because it's stuff, you know, other stuff going on. But when I would see Shaheen walk in the gym, I would be like, yeah, it's going down tonight, man. Bruh,
the boy could go, man. The boy could go. Sure. I mean, he off the dribble, man. There was nobody better.
Nah, not at all. Not at all. Favorite food? If you had to go with one food for the rest of your life.
Well, a lot of people don't know this. Although I'm a Jersey boy, I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I moved to New Jersey. I moved to New Jersey when I was 11 years old. So I go back to the red beans and rice because that was something I grew up on down in the dirty South. You know what I'm saying? So for me, my mom knows if she make that, that's a staple for me. You know. So
is it so Popeyes is that commercial?
Nah,
is anything about Popeyes authentic?
That's bull crap, man, right there. But if you get the Popeyes in Louisiana, in New Orleans, it's gonna taste different than what you get up here in the north. But that red beans and rice, I ain't talking about that. You gotta go down to the night boards, uptown. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
That's when you get the real. Yeah.
All right. My next question then, since you're from New Orleans, the Master P, No Limit movement, or Cash Money, if you had to choose one.
I got to go with Cash Money, man. And the reason why I'm gonna say that is because Cash Money is more of a New Orleans sound. Okay. Master P sound, although he was from New Orleans, he mixed it with a lot of other stuff. He was out in California for a while.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
The bounce rhythm, those snares and all of that. Mm-hmm. That's more like when you heard "Back That Ass Up" come out from
yes.
Cash Money. That is more of the New Orleans sound. And if you talk to people from New Orleans, they'll tell you that. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Yeah. And you're right. I appreciate you breaking that down. I mean, I can definitely tell you you know your hip hop. You definitely you know your stuff. That influence, a lot of people don't know how he, you know, because P, you know, spent a lot of time in California. You know what I'm saying? That influence and just, you know, his world travels it definitely wasn't all a New like Mia X and stuff like that. Yeah. Mia X was kind of like hardcore, kind of like a New York kind of like female. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But P did start the movement. He started the movement in New Orleans, and he started that independent label stuff. He was 100%. The first one to go and get the real money.
100%.
Everybody came after and followed, even like Jay-Z, Cash Money, all them guys. They followed what Master P did. He laid that down.
Yep. Favorite sports movie of all time?
Oh man, favorite sports movie of all time. Oh, all right. This gonna be crazy, right? And I don't know if you call this a sports movie, but I do. Jerry Mcguire.
No doubt. I respect that.
Yeah. Something about that movie, every time it comes on, because it's kind of halfway sports, but it's funny.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I would go with Jerry Mcguire. if I had to come in a quick second, damn, there's so many of them. I'm gonna go with White Man Can't Jump.
No doubt, definitely a classic.
Love that movie. Love that movie. I love because as you watch Wesley Snipes, you're like, yo, he might really be able to play. You can look at an actor and tell when they can't play, right?
Yeah, you can tell when he has a stand-in, or you know what I'm saying, or it's really him. The way he moves, you can tell.
Like the boy from Above the Rim, he could play, right? But the boy from what was the movie in LA? What was his name? Guy from Juice, and then he played in the movie in LA, the basketball movie. You know what I'm talking about? In California, Crenshaw. Sanaa Lathan was in it, and
Love and Basketball.
Love and Basketball.
Gotcha.
That dude could not play.
No. Yeah, you can tell.
Omar Epps. No, Omar Epps. If you watching this, like, he got no game. Omar Epps got no game. Right?
Yo, that's funny. Oh, that's funny. You mentioned. I was going to mention something about Jersey high school players, but I'll come back to that. Martin, legendary show. Your favorite character that Martin played on Martin.
The favorite character is probably Jerome, man.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's
Jerome.
I mean, when he went into
what
that,
you don't know good, Rashid.
When he went into that, man, it was.
My guy was I love Rashid hands down, but like Dragonfly Jones, bro. Whenever Dragonfly made his appearance, it was like great. Like he would go into he would get sucker punched, his tooth would come out. He put his tooth in the jukebox and played a song. Like that was great. Classic. That was great.
The best episode is that Tommy Hearns episode, man. I'm telling
100%. Legendary.
That Tommy Hearns episode, man.
Legendary. Two more questions. Favorite NBA player growing up?
I'm gonna go with Magic Johnson.
Okay.
I was a Lakers fan.
Mm-hmm.
Now my dad was a Lakers fan, so we grew up on that Lakers Celtics early '80s. You know what I'm saying? My game and Magic is nothing alike, but Magic Johnson for me, when I used to watch him, what he would do, I would go out to the court and try to do that little running sky hook, no look passes. You know what I'm saying? And for me to go on later on and play for the Lakers and actually meet him,
wow,
it was amazing. And for my father, God rest his soul, for me, the biggest thing coming home was bringing a picture of me and Magic Johnson. That I hadn't played a game yet, but for him, that was like
that was on your pop's bucket list, huh?
That was the pinnacle, man.
That's awesome, man. Lastly, rest in peace to the late great John Thompson. Did you have any John Thompson experiences? Did you ever meet John Thompson?
Oh yeah, I met him a lot. Well, we played against Georgetown when John was still there, in the Allen Iverson days. And quick story, Georgetown did not recruit me heavily.
Okay.
So I was angry, and I had narrowed it down to Villanova and UConn. And then 2 days before I was getting ready to make my decision, Georgetown showed up at my school to watch me play pickup basketball. But it wasn't John Thompson. It was his son, right? And there was the one day I didn't show up for the pickup game.
Oh,
so they just showed up. I didn't know. I don't know if they was coming from somewhere else or what.
And just say, hey, let us just stop by or whatever.
But for me, what it did was it validated, like, okay, I'm there. You know what I'm saying? I can play in this league if Georgetown is coming to look for me.
Of course.
And my first game against Georgetown, I was a freshman. I had 19 points, but because I wanted to show John Thompson that I could play. And I remember, fast forward maybe about 5 years later, I'm in the NBA. John Thompson is now an announcer. And it was a game I didn't play. I think it was the Sacramento Kings. We were in the tunnel, and he came up to me. We were talking. I was sulking a little bit. I wasn't playing. And he looked at me and said, "You made it all the way here, and you're going to give up now?" And kind of shook his head. And I felt like I was letting John Thompson down. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of gave me some momentum and maybe go back to practice and work a little bit harder. You know what I'm saying? But God rest his soul, man, because what he did with Georgetown, especially for African Americans, for African American athletes, those guys graduated. Those guys got degrees, right? And this before the Fab Five, this before UNLV. Yo, that meant a lot to see a black man win a national championship and to have all those brothers out there playing hard, playing defensive basketball.
Yeah.
He was the first. You know, he was the first. So.
I'm waiting for his documentary, his personal documentary. I
Oh
know
yeah.
it was so powerful. I remember I seen the 30 for 30. It was like insane about the Big East. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Oh, I saw that.
And then his parts on there,
Yeah.
he was like you know, an activist, man. Like how
Yeah.
he would handle the media and answer
That's
those
right.
questions. I'm like, yo, John Thompson was legendary.
Oh yeah.
It's a side of him that we didn't never even get to experience. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to that, man, because he was a powerful individual, man.
Yeah.
Powerful, man.
He was straight out of DC, man. He was straight out of DC, and he played in the NBA 2 years, won championships, 2 championships with Red Auerbach and the Celtics, and you know, he's a legend, man.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, we're gonna get right to your story, man. Just like I tell all the legends, I don't want to get in your way of you telling your story, so I'm just give you the freedom just to kind of talk. I have questions, and I'll just kind of interject as necessary. But just start us off, man, at the very beginning of where the John Celestan story begins, man, and let's just start us there.
Yeah, man. Well, you know, for me, it kind of, I will say, you know, I played a lot on the playgrounds and stuff out in New Orleans, but back then, as many people know, New Orleans is a real depressed city. So it wasn't a lot of like recreation leagues and things like that. So when we moved to New Jersey, I was thrown aback, and my father was about how many leagues and things they had inside. And obviously, because it's cold up here in New Jersey, you got to, you know, everything was outside in New Orleans. But that's kind of where it started, man. I played in this little rec league in Woodbridge, New Jersey. And at that point, I didn't really know I could play. You know, I just thought, you know, I was on the playground. I played with a lot of older guys back in New Orleans. But when I got to New Jersey, that's when I really started to play organized basketball. And I started to learn the game a little bit. You know, I had a family friend, Mr. Donald Stewart, who was my first coach, taught us how to play defense, you know, taught us to always keep our hands up. And from then on, you know, I just, you know, played in the playgrounds a lot. And once I got onto that AAU circuit around 7th, 8th grade, that's when I started traveling around and realizing, oh, I thought I was good, but, you know, we go up to Jersey City. I remember we got spanked by the Jersey City Boys Club, man. And a lot of those guys ended up going to St. Anthony's.
Okay.
But the Jersey City Boys Club, man, I swear they beat us by 50, man. And the next week we had to come back and play them again. They beat us by 50 again. And that was
no fluke.
Yeah. And, you know, and I remember at that point, the coach telling us, well, a lot of these guys will end up going to St. Anthony's. And so that's when I realized that it was another level of basketball that I had to get to.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I spent a lot of time, man, you know, playing all around the state. I played for the Newark Rams for a while, Coach Brian Crawford, who was my coach there. Then I went on, I played in Elizabeth YMCA. But then when I got with my Piscataway guys, when I finally moved to Piscataway in, I think it was 8th grade. And once I got with those guys, you know, Piscataway had great recreation. Piscataway is a sports town. When I tell you the amount of pros that have come out of Piscataway, Asia Jones, if you may know, who played at UConn, you know, she played in the Olympics, myself, and then lots and lots of football players. So our town had great recreation programs, and they were all free. So if you didn't have the means, or if you were a poor kid, you could play. All you had to do was show up.
Yep.
And I think that's where I started to hone my skills. And once I got to high school, you know, we had a lot of guys that, you know, really played the game. A lot of guys that we kind of all grew up playing from middle school together. And, you know, we went on to win the state championship. We were the first state champions in school history from a basketball standpoint. First overall state champion in school history.
And what year was that for you?
That was 1994, my junior year. We won a state championship against Teaneck High School. It's interesting because we had a long road. We went through Trenton. We knocked them off. Then we were the number 1 seed, but we came up against a strong Shawnee team. Malik Allen. They had Brian Earl, who went on to Princeton. But we were able to beat them. And then we ended up going and beating Teaneck in the championship. Then, and you know how in New Jersey, all the state champions go into what they call the tournament champions.
Yeah, tournament of champions. Yes.
Yeah. So then we went up against Lamar Greer, who was a parade All-American. He ended up going on. He was from South Jersey. He ended up going on to Florida State. We beat them. Then we ran to Patterson Catholic and Tim Thomas. I mean, 4 teams left in the state of New Jersey, and that was just a little too much for us to handle, man. We lost to them. You know, it was to this day I'm still angry about that game because you know it was tie game with 2 minutes left, man.
Wait a minute. Wow.
Tie game with 2 minutes left, man. But we had a boxing one on Tim Thomas, but some other guy, I think his name was Vince Mitchell, hit these 2 threes from the wing, man, and they ended up pulling away, man.
Wow. So, I mean, but you guys had an amazing run, especially that year.
Yeah.
Who were some of your teammates, man? Y'all was tough, man.
Yeah, we were tough. We had another guy by the name of Justin Bailey who went on to play basketball at Hartford University. I think he ended up being the second all-time leading scorer when he left behind Vin Baker. Okay. So we were like a Division I backcourt. And that was tough in New Jersey because to have 2 guys, and I was 6'3", he was 6'3", that was really tough, man. We had a guy named Dewey Ferguson. He went on to play at Trenton State. So we had guys that could play, and we were a public school, you know what I'm saying? And a public school, you playing with guys that you grew up with. What our thing was defense. You know, we could guard against anybody in the state. We were great on the perimeter. You know, we didn't have no 6'8" guys, 6'9" guys, which is why we had trouble with Tim Thomas and those guys. But we were able to do some things, you know. We were able to do some things, and we won that state championship.
Did you guys like regarding your team? Was it like were you guys playing like you know, getting out of the state? Did you guys have any like non-conference games out in New York? You all just played in your area, in your state? We
mostly played in our area back then, but we did have a matchup with St. Patrick. That was our big game of the season, and they were traveling around at that point. But that was the next year. That was senior year. Okay. We ended up going against Shaheen Holloway. And
so was that because you guys, were the state champs, so your coach just booked the
once
really
we became the state championship, then everybody kind of wanted to play us, you know. Got you. And that game was kind of like our big game. And they came in, we played them at our house. They was ranked like 7th in the country. And everybody just, even though we had won the state championship the year before, and we had the best guards in the state outside of Shaheen, people didn't really give us no shot. It was like, we was just gonna get spanked, you know what I'm saying? These boys gonna come. They got this traveling team. They going all across around the country, and they just gonna spank us. We took offense to that, you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
We had went through some heavy hitters the year before.
100%. Y'all earned that. Y'all got the hardware to prove it.
Yeah, man. So they came to our house and we put it on them, man. Now they came down to the wire, you know what I'm saying? My man Justin Bailey hit a shot from the corner, put us up by 1 point. Shaheen had that ball with about 8 seconds left, came down, cleared it out, got in the rim. We blocked it, game over, and we won. You know what I'm saying? We knocked off the number 7 team in the country.
Wow. So shout out to D-Hack 732. He said Piscataway versus St. Pat's was packed. I can only imagine. I know it was a capacity crowd, man.
Man, it was standing room only, bro. Standing room only. That was probably one of the biggest games we ever played outside of the state championship.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Was your pop? Shout out to your pop, man. Rest in peace. What was he the camera? Was he the camera dad? Was he filming?
He was the camera dad. He was the camera dad.
Do you possibly have any of that stuff on video on CD, man?
I definitely got the Shaheen Holloway St. Patrick game.
On a DVD?
I got it on DVD.
Dog, I need to get a copy of that so I can upload it, so I can share it with the people. We gotta bring that back to life for the people, man.
I gotta find it for you. It's somewhere in a drawer or a box somewhere, but I got it because I pull it out every once in a while and watch it, man.
Yes,
that game was, but I'm telling you, as great as we played, man, Shaheen put on a show.
Wow,
Shaheen put on a show, man, and he could go back then, but for us, winning in front of our home crowd. I'm telling you, the whole state was there that night, and most people came to see us lose. You know what I'm saying? Most people came to see us lose.
That's crazy. Go take me back a little bit. For the people that didn't see you play at Piscataway or Villanova or in the pros, describe your game. When you were in your groove and not the best shape of your life, but when you were playing, in your junior year in high school, when you had your game, how would people describe your game? What were some of your strengths and things you did well?
Yeah. I would say for me, I was a big guard, and I was usually, if not all the time, the fastest guard on the court with the ball. From end to end, there was nobody faster than me in the state of New Jersey. So I would say for me, it was, and junior year and senior year were a little bit different, right? Because junior year, most of my game was slashing, getting to the rim. I was a decent shooter, but I wasn't what you would call, if you leave me open every time, I'm going to knock it down.
Okay.
So I was always trying to get to the rim. I love to get out in transition. If you backed off me, I was going to knock down the J, and I got after you on the defensive end. So as I transitioned to my senior year, many people were recruiting me, and at 6'3", they wanted me to really play the point guard position. But I was a combo, because I had to score for my team and dish the ball. So I started to try to focus on, looking to get guys more involved. And one of the things that my AAU coach and my high school basketball coach, Paul Schob, said, Hall of Fame coach, John, you have to learn how to stop and pop, how to get in that lane. Because I didn't have that part. I was either all the way to the rim or I was knocking down the three, or I was out in transition.
Yeah, that mid-range is special.
Yeah, I started to develop that mid-range because they was trying to tell me, look, when you get to the Big East or wherever you're going to go play, you're not going to be able to get all the way to the rim, especially at your size, because I was probably 175, 177 pounds, dripping wet. Mm-hmm. So I had to develop that, and I started to develop that pull-up game, that get in the lane game, you know. Yep. I would watch guys in the state of New Jersey, see who had that in their game. And that really, you know, I started to realize that I needed that, especially when you're going up against Tim Thomas. I remember we played against Malik Allen my senior year, and they scraped us, man. I'm telling you. They beat us in the state semifinals my senior year. I think they were ranked maybe in the top 5 in the country.
Yeah.
And that's when I really realized that I was trying to get to the rim, and Malik was blocking everything.
Yeah.
And that's when it really hit me. Like, if you don't develop this before you get to the Big East, you're going to be in trouble, you know? Mm-hmm. So I started getting those little floaters, those little pull-ups. But I can get after you on defense too, man. I can guard 1, 2, 3 back then. I wouldn't say I was a high flyer, but I was athletic enough to get up and dunk in traffic.
Gotcha.
You know, I wasn't no Vince Carter.
Of course.
I was crafty. I knew how to get shots over big men. I knew how to use the glass and all of that.
Got you. So take me real quick. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but you've already started to break it down. But I want to go through high school because I don't want to miss anything. So go back and any super memorable experiences you remember from your high school experience, whether it's other big games like similar to the St. Pat's game. Big time players you played against, just, you know, some other little nuggets that you remember.
Does it have to be high school? Can it be AAU too?
Well, we're going to talk about AAU separately.
Okay. Well, the Lamar. Okay, so when we were in the tournament of champions, my junior year. So after we won the state championship, we go to the tournament of champions, and that basically is you're gonna have your Group 4 state champion, which we were. That's big schools, big public schools. Group 3, Group 2, Group 1. Then you got parochial A, parochial B. Parochial A is smaller private schools, and you got parochial B, Patterson Catholic, St. Anthony's, Tim Thomas, and all them guys.
So everybody who won their championship, they bring them all together.
Yes. So it's like 6 teams, and now you're gonna get the number one. A lot of places don't have that. You're gonna get
people don't
do
that. People don't. I mean, I wish every state did that. Like all the classifications to see who's the best team in the state, regardless of class.
In PA, it would be like you would take your public school champion, you would take your
Catholic League champion. Yeah.
Somebody else from Western Pennsylvania. Everybody be in the tournament. But anyway, I remember my junior year because I was kind of unknown as my junior year. I kind of blew up that year, but we had to play Lamar Greer, man. And Lamar Greer, people don't remember. Lamar Greer was a McDonald's All-American. Mm-hmm. He was in that game with Felipe Lopez. Who else was on that year? Felipe Lopez, Antoine Walker. I'm trying to remember the people that were in the McDonald's All-American game. Well, Lamar Greer was one of them. Mm-hmm. He ended up going to Florida State, had a pretty decent career, went overseas and played well. But I remember thinking, because I had played with Lamar in a few AAU tournaments, and all I remember thinking was, if I can play with this guy, then I've arrived, because he's a parade All-American, right?
Right.
And I ended up having like 25 points that game, and you know I went head to head with him toe to toe. Now he did go off about 36, right?
No doubt.
He did go off about 36. Shout out to Lamar Greer. But that was the game where I realized if he going to Florida State, he's a parade All-American, and I'm giving him that work. You know what I'm saying? I can play at that level too. Mm-hmm. You know, and so that for me, and it was at the rack. Packed house, that for me was the game that really let me know, okay, I can play at that level. I can play on a level with the big boys. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. That's what's up, man. All right, well, now we can transition. I definitely want to make stops talking about, you know, any of your AAU memories. And then besides that, I guess we can kind of lump that with summer leagues and the kind of, so just give me some of your most memorable summer league experiences, players you played against, tournaments you played in, just anything you remember about those days.
Well, man, for me, AAU, see, because I come from the real AAU era. I don't know about, and I'm not trying to be one of them old guys that hate on the young boys. Right?
They're old dude.
Right. But when I played AAU, you had to be the number one player on your high school team to play in AAU. So when I played AAU, you go to New York, you playing against Stephon Marbury, right?
Yeah.
You playing against Sham God. You playing against Lamar Odom. You go to Boston, you playing against Wayne Turner. you playing against Scooney Penn, right? You go down to DC, it's Lewis Bullock. It's guys like that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, AAU was where I really got to see myself against the top competition.
And it wasn't that many AAU teams. So if you got selected, you were legit.
Bruh, in Jersey, when I played, I can tell you off the top of my head, it might have been less than 10 teams. You had the Shore boys, right? That was like the CBA boys, Jeff Billett, a lot of white guys that down the shore. Then you had Patterson AAU. That was Tim Thomas and his boys. You had the Newark Rams, right? You had the Jersey City Boys Club. That was all the St. Anthony kids. You had our team, the Central Jersey Demons. That was the kids from Central Jersey. Then you had the Road Runners. That was Sandy. That was Sandy and them. After that, you might have had one or two other teams, man. Maybe a team down in Trenton, and that pretty much was it, man. You know, I don't know about way down in Camden, down South Jersey, but those were the main teams. So you was playing against top-notch competition. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Elizabeth had a team as well, but I think they played for Sandy and those guys, a lot of Elizabeth guys. So you know, you was going against top-notch competition all the time, man. We used to go over the bridge into New York and play at Riverside Church, man. Gauchos. One game I remember in AAU, man, and this was the best AAU game I ever played in. We played down in Florida, man, and Nationals. And it was me, fat chubby kid at the time named Elton Brand, right?
No doubt.
No doubt. Elton Brand, like in 10th grade. We had a guy by the name.
Where's Elton from? He's from New Jersey?
Elton's from upstate New York.
New York, that's what I thought.
He's still, but he played with us in this tournament.
Okay.
I know who he was. All I know is when he came, I told my AAU coach, man, who's this fat chubby kid? He's like, Johnny, don't worry about it. He can play, right? He got big hands.
Fat young bull.
And he put in work. Now, he missed about 15 free throws this game, but if he had made his free throw, we'd have won. But it's Elton Brand. It's a guy named Tim Wynn who ended up playing at St. Bonaventure's, one of the all-time leading players there. And we played against, on the other team, is Tim Thomas, Kevin Freeman, Kobe Bryant.
Oh, my gosh.
Vince Carter's supposed to be there, but he ain't there that day because he's at the prom. So he's coming the next day. So when I tell you we tapping it up, this game goes to double overtime, bro.
Yo!
I'm telling you. Now, I went for like 44, 45, something like that.
Wow.
I remember Tim Thomas had 28 in the first half, bro.
What? Oh, probably half of them were dunks.
Everything. He was doing everything. Freeze. When I tell you Kobe Bryant went for 55.
Wow.
And we know who he is, but he ain't Kobe yet. He's Kobe, but nobody knows he's the best player in America. People are saying this potentially. We know Tim Thomas when he went off, man. And I remember he went 20 for 20 from the line, man. Wow. And no matter what we said, we were trying to get in his head. We was talking to him. He just was focused, man. And it was nothing we could do. We tried everything on him. I tried to guard him. A guy named Devonair Dees, who ended up going to Florida State, tried to guard him. Tim Wynn, who went to St. Bonnie's, tried to guard him. You know, nobody could do nothing with him, man.
It's crazy. Yeah. And he was a little younger because he's class of 96.
He's 1 year younger than me. So I was a senior about to go to Villanova. So this is the spring. He's a junior about to be a senior. You know what I'm saying? So,
crazy.
Yeah. But the fact that we was even in the game, when I tell you we went to double overtime.
And Vince Carter wasn't at this game, was
no, he comes the next day because he's at the prom.
Gotcha.
We're in Florida, but he's at the prom. So the next day Vince shows up. And you know, they pretty much scraped everybody. The only team that really gave them some work, I think, was BABC. That was Boston Amateur Basketball Club. I think they had Wayne Turner, Scooney Penn, a dude named Randall Jackson who ended up going to Florida State. They had a good squad. You know? Gotcha.
Yeah. Tell me about a big thing that this generation has missed out on. You know, because now everything's like AAU saturated. That's pretty much, you know, how everybody spends their time. But, you know, Nike camp, Adidas, 5-Star, you know, all those camps. Did you participate in any of those camps at all?
I went to Eastern Invitational. I went to Adidas ABCD, which that was a nightmare. And the reason why I say that is because there was so many great guards there. And I sprained my ankle a couple of days before I went.
Oh, man.
So I wasn't gonna miss out at this point because I'm still getting recruited. So I tried to play. I played the first maybe 3 days.
Yeah.
And the first day I had to match up against Steph.
Steph Curry. Steph Marbury. Steph Marbury.
Next day it was Wayne Turner. So then I had Ed Cota.
Oh my gosh.
Then it was, by the time I got to Shaheen, I was like, I'm done, man. I couldn't. My ankle was swollen.
And for Shaheen, you would have needed that side to side.
I was like, I tried to go. I was like, I can't no more, man. I had to sit out the rest of the time. But it was unfortunate though, because I had already made a name, and Villanova kind of already was recruiting me heavy. But there were some other schools that were there to see me too.
Yeah.
But I couldn't play. But I just remember how many great point guards. Chauncey Billups was there.
Mm-hmm.
How many great point guards were in the building, man? It was just, back then. So that was an experience to see these guys from all across the country, that could play. And it just made you realize you had to elevate your game.
Yeah. Who was your roommate back then? You remember who your roommate was? Or who you spent your time with during,
I do not remember, man. I do not remember who I roomed with. I just know it was at Fairleigh Dickinson University in North Jersey.
Did you get cool with any of those guys, or establish a little relationship with any of them from like that week?
Nah, man, I wasn't like
basketball?
That, man.
Yeah,
I was like one of them dudes. Like I was one of them dudes that always had to fake like I hated everybody to motivate myself. Like I'm like them old school dudes, man. I'm like your boy from Portland. What's his name? Your boy that's shooting the deep threes now, Lillard, man. I'm like Lillard. Like I can't do all that friendly stuff.
No doubt.
And also back then we weren't as friendly as the guys are now.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? All the New York kids, they was all hanging together.
Yeah. Because there was no social media. Guys wasn't friending each other, following each other on Instagram.
It wasn't none of that back then. So for me, I was going to war, right? And I was trying to represent. So I was always sitting on the side looking at who I had to play next. I didn't do a lot of that socializing back then. And, some guys did. I'm not knocking nobody that did. It just wasn't me. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
Yeah.
Well, what are some any other things, any other memories, like any plays or just dunks or just anything that you remember from the ABC?
Man, I just remember Marbury, man. Like, I remember, I think it was Marbury going against Wayne Turner. Mm-hmm. And at that time, Marbury and Wayne Turner were saying the top 2 point guards in the country. If you remember, Marbury ended up going to Georgia Tech. Mm-hmm. Wayne Turner ended up going to Kentucky. And they was going back and forth. Wayne Turner didn't have really no great jumper, but that boy could go off the bounce, and he was strong. He was athletic. But, man, Marbury came down and, like, he did this killer crossover and went down the lane, and there was a guy in the middle. I do not remember what this guy's name was, but he was big, like Yinka Dare size. And he leaned and dunked on this dude. Mm. And when I tell you, like, everybody just stopped playing, like, Steph just walked off the court, took off his tape off his wrist, just walked in the locker room. It still was like 10 seconds left in the game. Nope. It was just, that was it. It was over. It was like we were at Rucker Park. It was like, and it was like you saw clipboards flying up in the air, coaches running out the stands. It was probably the most incredible play I saw when I was there, man.
Crazy. Speaking of the Rucker, did you ever play up at the Rucker Park in it at all?
Nah, I never had a chance to play up there, man. I never did. That just never got invited. I've been up there a few times and seen games.
Yeah.
But never got a chance to play there. And that's, for me, that's probably one of my biggest regrets.
Yeah.
Not getting out there. Because as a basketball player, being from that tri-state area, you want to be able to say,
I played the Rucker, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's something for me that,
just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Did you travel across the bridge at all and play in any any Philly area summer leagues, like Sunny Hill, anything like that?
So we used to come down and play in the Sunny Hill League.
Okay.
So, and I'm talking about the high school league.
Yes.
So I remember coming down. The only thing I remember there was some great players in Philly.
And was that at Temple, at McGonigal Hall?
It was at McGonigal.
Yep.
But I just remember it being like, I don't know. I remember Sunny Hill like stopping the games and stuff, or like I never seen nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? One thing I do remember, I remember Lynn Greer, little guy. He was a little younger than me, but I remember him being out there because I remember his face. and him being out there playing with the younger team. I don't remember what players was there, whether it was Cat Mobley or whoever, but I know we came down to Sunny Hill to play. And I just didn't like that specific tournament because it was a lot of stopping in the action, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's funny. I interviewed Brian Samuels last night from Gratz, and that's one of the things he said. They were beating the team. He said they were blowing the team out, you know, running and gunning, just hooping. And he said Sonny walks in and stops the game. And was like, this ain't basketball. I want to see 5 passes before anybody takes a shot.
And see, I'm not from Philly, so I don't know Sonny, right? But a lot of the Philly guys, they had the respect for him, and he's a respected man there. But for me, I was like, who is this man?
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? But I did play in the Sunny Hill Summer League in the summer. And that when I was in college, we would come down and we would play. And there was some battles, man. Yeah. You know, I mean, you in there, one night it could be Cat Mobley, you guarding. The next night it's Rashid Bey from St. Joe's.
That's right.
The next night it could be Rashid Brokenborough. Yeah. Right? From Temple. Mark Jackson. I mean, you know, Sean Red.
Red Smith.
Donnie Carr, man. It was like, it was crazy, man.
That's the era right there. That's the era.
Anybody that played in the city. So we would go down, and you know, being from Villanova, they hate you, right? Back then, it ain't like now. Yo, they hated Villanova, right? And if you from Villanova and you down there, because you ain't in the city, they all city boys.
That's right.
They all from Philly. And so you ain't from, and you are out of towner too, yeah, they will go at you in the stand. He ain't from Philly. Get up in him, y'all. Arthur Yah David. Get up in him, y'all. Like,
that's right.
Every night it was, so you had to bring it. You know what I'm saying?
And Philly, you know, Philly, I already know they gave out-of-towners the business. Jersey, Delaware. Because, you know, like guys like Donnie Carr and them would tell me that, you know, although Donnie was well respected all over the place, right? But you know, or if he wasn't from like South Philly, if a South Philly guy came and played, like they would give the North Philly guys, you know, Philly had the biggest hecklers. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Biggest hecklers,
amongst its own. So I already know if somebody came from out of state. Oh yeah, you ain't getting no love.
And it didn't matter. You didn't even have to come from out of state. You could be from Chester.
Oh yeah.
You ain't Philly. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Camden's out of state, but you right across the bridge. You ain't Philly. They looked at it like, and so when I used to go down there, I had to ball out because it was the not being from Philly thing, and also you went to Villanova. So back then, you know, we got all the TV games. We on TV. St. Joe's, Temple, LaSalle, Penn. They not on TV like we are.
Yeah.
So they mad. They looking at us like y'all ain't, you know, you ain't
like y'all silver spoon kids.
Yeah. Now, if you Alvin Williams or if you Jason Lawson, you from Philly, you get a pass.
Yeah.
But the rest of us that wasn't from Philly, nah.
No love.
You had to bring it, bro. A couple times I go outside, somebody broke in my car, man. I'm wondering if it's somebody in the gym, you know.
Yo, that's funny. Hey, real quick, I forgot to mention, whenever I see some legends in the building, you know, participating, you know, watching the broadcast, got to shout them out. If you see that Street Bangers, that's my man MOC, Marv O'Connor right there.
Marv, what's up, Marv? That's Marv played that Villanova. What up, Marv?
That's Marv. My man Kevin Buzz Forney from another Strawberry Mansion legend. Marcus Green, the little general from St. Bonaventure. Couple legends in the building, man. Got to shout him out.
No doubt. Marv was my man. Marv played at Villanova one year. He shouldn't have left us, Marv. But look, Marv made a great decision. Marv left. Marv went to St. Joe's, and Marv balled out.
That's right.
Marv
That's
balled out.
Big Five Hall of Fame, man.
Marv wasn't about that motion offense. Marv wanted to get that ball and go with it. You know
I know that's right. That's
my man. That's my man.
Let's talk about. I know in Pennsylvania, once all the everybody's seasons are over, you know, championships and all that. Everybody comes over and plays at the Donofrio Classic in Conshohocken in PA. Like, I know Sandy, the Roadrunners, they would bring a team over. Did you play in Conshohocken at the little tournament?
I can't remember if I ever played in Conshohocken, man. Okay. I don't remember.
It's like a little, like, 4 or 5 week little tournament. You know,
is it a small gym?
Like that IS-8 up in New York.
Yeah. I don't think I ever played it.
Okay.
Whenever we came down to Philly, we played at Temple.
Okay.
And we played at McGonigal.
Okay.
That's what I remember. And that was the one thing I do remember. Like, New York seemed like they had more tournaments than we went north more than we came south, but we was closer to New York.
Okay.
So we did a lot of the, like, you know, Gaucho, Riverside, Brooklyn, Madison Square Boys Club, Jersey City Boys Club. Whenever we came south, we would just do that Philly joint.
Got you.
Yeah, we would do that. We would do that. Now there was a team. What's that team Kobe played for? That AAU team. He played for.
Well, I know he played with like Sunny Hill, like the Sunny
No,
Hill.
before that, Sam Rhines or
Sam Rhines. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
I want to say
he did. Yeah, Kobe did play with Sam Rhines.
I want to say we played in the tournament with them one time, but
okay.
It's been so many, man.
No, you're right. You're right on point. He did play with Sam Rhines. Yep, he did play with Sam Rhines team. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so transitioning. Tell me about Oh, we got another legend in the building. The Providence, one of the best defenders in high school history.
Don't you say John Linehan.
Don Linehan.
Don't you say John Linehan.
The original glove.
Don't you say John Linehan. Big shout to John, man. Listen, the only game of my life I ever had 11 turnovers. It was big John Linehan. John Linehan, man, look, nightmare, brother. I tell
hey, John, I know you're listening. You're listening.
John, nightmare, brother. Like, to this day, I tell people, look, John Linehan was, and the greatest thing ever happened to me was John was on my team in Sunny Hill senior year. My senior year, I think John might have been a sophomore. We played together in McGonigal. Yo, I'm talking about hit your pocket, bro. Hit your pocket. And John might not remember this. We played. I think John might have played for the Clippers one summer in the NBA Summer League. And I think I was with the Lakers or the Dallas or somebody. And I remember telling people on my team, they was like, "Yo, who's Lil Man?" I said, "Listen, if he on you, I don't care if you bring it past it." Them jokers didn't listen, right? Yo, I can't remember who it was. Man, John picked him, laid it up. The joker came down again, picked him again, laid it up. I said, I told you better pass it, let the two guard bring it up or something.
Yo, man. That's funny.
Shout out to John Linehan, man.
Oh, that's hilarious. All right, so take me into talk about your college recruiting process and you know all the different schools that was recruiting you, and then what ultimately led you choosing Villanova.
Yeah, so again, nobody was recruiting me until after we won the state championship junior year.
Okay, so your recruitment wasn't heavy.
No, I wasn't heavy. As a sophomore, I started varsity, but I didn't. I might have scored maybe 12 points a game or something. I made like all county, but it wasn't like I was like
nothing crazy.
Up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
After we won the state championship, now remember, I'm right around the corner from Rutgers. I literally grew up like 5 minutes from Rutgers. They wasn't even recruiting me.
Wow.
And then as soon as we won the state championship, they started coming, and they was just about to get into the Big East because remember they was in the A-10.
Yes.
So then it was like it was a lot of schools, man. Penn State, UConn, Villanova, Providence, Seton Hall was recruiting me heavy. Florida back then, I don't know if you remember, Florida had just won the Final Four. Was in the Final Four, so they was recruiting me real heavy. So I kind of wanted to stay in the Big East though. So I narrowed it down to it was UConn, Villanova, and Rutgers. And I really didn't want to go to Rutgers. It was just so close. I had to give them a look.
Yeah.
And it was a hard decision, man, because, you know, Calhoun, you know, he was saying a lot like, yo, you can come here. This is more your style, up and down. But Villanova, for me, I like the guys on the team. I clicked better with them. Plus, it was in Philly, and I knew that Big Five, man, that was really drawing me in. And UConn, man, it was in the sticks, man. I tell you, man, house and stuff, man, it wasn't nothing up there, bro. And so, you know, I chose Villanova. Now, I look back on it, though, in those 4 years, UConn won the national championship.
Yes, they did.
So that's one thing I always think about. I always think, like, wonder if – but we had some battles with UConn, man, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I mean, y'all had a great team as well, man.
Yeah, we had some great players, man. I played with Alvin Williams, you know what I'm saying? I played with Kerry Kittles 1 year. I played with Tim Thomas, Howard Brown, Allen. At one point, we had like 4 or 5 guys went to the NBA. Myself, Alvin Williams, Jason Lawson, Chuck Cornegay went over there, made a lot of money. You know, Marv was there. Marv ended up going to St. Joe's. We had a lot of great players, man, that came through there, man. So, you know, shout out to all those guys. But I wouldn't change it for nothing because it gave me that Philly connection. You know, Philly's like my second home. I'm there all the time. I was able to work for the Comcast and do the Sixers broadcast for a lot of years. So none of that would have happened if I would have went to UConn. Yeah.
Did it mean a lot to you? Like I seen like your top, like your final 3 schools was like, you know, possibly Rutgers, Seton Hall, Villanova. Did it mean a lot to you, like for your family? Like I know, like I'm a camera dad. I got 4 boys. You know what I'm saying? So for me, like, you know, once my boys are of age, if they're playing, you know, God willing, they're playing sports in college, like I would hope that they would stay. You know, not I don't know. I just love
Yeah.
going to all their games. It just means a
Yeah.
lot to me as dad. You know what I'm saying? Was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was it like was that was it
Well,
did that mean a lot to you to stay close to home?
yeah, yeah. My dad look, I got to credit my father for getting me into basketball. He was the one that signed me up in the leagues. He had me in four or five leagues when I was a kid. So I wanted to be close enough to home that they could get to the games, but far enough away where I could grow a little bit.
Of course.
And Villanova, for me, being about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes away,
Yeah, that's enough.
That was enough. I could get home when I wanted. I could come back, see my boys, see my family, but I was also a way to be able to grow. So for me, being close, my mom and dad, they were at a lot of games. You know, my sister came when she could. I had coaches come up. That was good for me. You know what I'm saying? So UConn was a little bit farther. That was about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And although I thought Calhoun would have been a great coach for me, you know, I just don't think it was just a little bit too far. And also, Calhoun was saying a lot of stuff, man, like, yo, man, we're going to roll the balls out. You come here, it's just going to be your team. And I was like, hold up, man. Y'all got Deron Sheffer. Y'all got Kevin Ollie. It just didn't sound right. Like
he was definitely gassing you up.
Yeah, he was gassing me up. So I knew at Villanova.
Because you know how it goes. They going to say what they've got to say. Once they get
want.
you in their possession, they can change the rules on you.
No doubt. And, you know, so, and we had Alvin Williams, which I knew he was going to start for a couple of years. So I felt like I could learn from him a little bit. And I did. And by sophomore year, I was starting. Me and Alvin was in the backcourt, you know. So
that's what's up. And lastly, before you talk about your college experience, you talk about not being recruited, you know, going into your junior year, like, and then all of a sudden you win the state championship, and you got all these schools coming after you. How was it? Like, how was it? Like, you know, because this was before social media. This was before YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like, how were teams hearing about you to be like, yo, that's the guy we need to recruit back then?
A lot of it was AAU. And,
AAU.
But I will say when you win, that's why I tell kids all the time. When I used to work with kids, I used to do some training. Don't not matter if you don't win. When you win, see, the coaches back then too, they could come during the season, right?
Yes.
It's all different now with the live periods and all that stuff. If you're not getting to the state championships, if you're not getting to the postseason, that's when the scouts, that's when people want to see. That's when people come out to see who can really play.
Of course.
No matter what you're doing, how many points you scoring, if your team ain't winning. So I always tell people, you want to play at a school that y'all gonna go far, and you'll be able to be seen. So for me, once I started winning, and once I started traveling the AAU circuit, man, if you can go head to head with Stephon Marbury, if you can go head to head with the Sham Gods, if you can go head to head with Scooney Penn, Chris Herron, Wayne Turner, and those guys, you know, I tell you the biggest game that really set me up to be recruited. I was playing down in Boo Williams, down in Hampton, Virginia.
Hampton, VA.
Boo Williams tournament. And I was going head-to-head with Chauncey Billups.
Wow.
And Chauncey Billups already had a name.
Yeah.
And I gave Chauncey Billups that work. Now, he was scoring.
Wow.
But I was like,
talk about it.
He was from Denver. I was like, yo, he basic, right? But, you know, I had a big game that game. And that's when Villanova came over and gave me one of those little letters. And I was like, that's when they started recruiting me.
Okay.
But if it not be for me playing against that top-notch competition and a guy like Chauncey Billups, I probably wouldn't have got recruited. So
but back then, it's, you know, I guess metaphorically, the AAU scene was like the golf course. That's where the deals got done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Unless you was on, like, a big-time high school team like a Gratz.
Yeah.
Or
that
like
was known for breeding the talent. That was known
like
coaches
a
just, yeah.
Right. I played for a straight public league school. So, you know, you're going to have to get known through AAU. That's when you're going to play the top-notch competition. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Hey, well, I think this is a perfect time for us to break. We got about 2 minutes before Instagram gives us the countdown. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end this one, save it, and so just come right back within like 30 or 45 seconds. Start a brand new one, and we'll pick up as soon as we come back. We're gonna pick up you just talking about your Villanova experience. We'll start there.
No problem.
All right. So for everybody that's watching, I appreciate y'all joining in. You're listening to the legendary John Celestan, Piscataway High School. Villanova Wildcat, man, legend, professional, man, great storyteller, man. He's been there, he's seen it all, he's done it all. So everybody come right back, join us, and at the very end of the broadcast, we're going to have a little Q&A. Let the people ask my man John Celestan some questions, all right? All right, I'll see you right back.
All right, no doubt.
Hey, what's the deal? It's your boy Big Star, Raw Sports. Rawsports.tv is the website. You tuned in for another classic episode, part 2 of a classic episode with my man John Celestan. Like I said, Piscataway High School in New Jersey, man. I mean, the story so far, a classic, man. I mean, this one's definitely special, man, because, we hear so much about the Philly area. So it's really good to hear my man talk about Jersey. All right, so we back. So if you can, start us off. Take me through, just like you did high school. Just take me through your Villanova experience, and along the way, just pinpoint some memorable games. Players that you remember, some of the toughest players you played against. Make sure you tell us, again, who your teammates were. Just break it down any way you want to.
Well, coming to Villanova, this was around, when Villanova started to really become a powerhouse again.
Matter of fact, hold that thought. I wanted to ask you real quick before you just hold that thought. I always like to know, and it's really good for high school kids right now to hear guys like yourself talk about it. Tell me about the transition, and was it a shock? Was there any adversity in going from Piscataway's playing, for your coach at Piscataway, the workouts, the practices, to come into Division I Villanova?
Yeah,
there. Like, what was the learning curve? How was that? And then you can get into your story.
Yeah. Well, one of the big things was the strength. That for me was the biggest shock, because I again came in. I was wiry strong, but when you play in the Big East, man, you could just tell them pickup games. Like, just the screens, the solid screens, trying to fight through screens, trying to get over a pick and roll.
Yeah.
Like, you try to dribble to the lane and somebody hold you. Like, in high school, you just blow by somebody. People don't have that strength. That, for me, was the biggest transition. And that's why a lot of guys, like, if you're physically mature as a freshman, you'll see a lot of guys that's more physically mature play earlier than guys that may have a higher skill level.
I understand.
As a freshman. Because if you're stronger, that is going to be able to help you do the basic stuff that you need to do. Gotcha. And it took me a while. My freshman year was kind of up and down.
Okay.
But when I came, and then the intensity, I thought I worked hard in high school. You know what I'm saying? But when you get out here, it's another level of that you can push yourself to.
Yeah.
When it comes to picking somebody up full court, when it comes to getting up early morning and running on that track, you know what I'm saying? I was out there with some deers, man. Like Kerry Kittles could run, son. Like, I'm talking about Kerry Kittles used to run like a 4:30 something mile, man.
Wow.
And I was running a 5:02, and I was in third place because Howard Brown, my roommate for 4 years, he was running like a 4:45, like 10 seconds behind. I mean, this is like Olympic stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like, these guys could run. So, it was a lot of stuff that I had to get used to. And then you're coming into such a great team. Remember, Villanova at this point, they just coming off the Big East championship.
Yeah.
We were ranked in the top 5 in the country. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We went out to Maui and won that. We beat North Carolina in the championship.
Wow.
So it was a type of team that I had to wait my turn and I had to learn.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the season, I wasn't playing a whole lot because it was just that learning curve. I was just too tired. By the time you come off all these screens, you get the ball, you so damn tired because you're going so hard. You know what I'm saying? And I'll say this: I remember, and this is crazy. I remember the first game in Maui. We're playing. No,
was that like the Maui Invitational?
Maui Invitational.
Yeah.
I can't remember who we were playing. I didn't play the first game. And I remember sitting on the bench, and they were moving so damn fast, right? I remember going like
almost like NASCAR back.
Yeah, I remember thinking, I was like, yo, I can't play out there. Like, literally, I was on the bench like, yo, I can't play out there. They moving too fast. There's
this
no way.
Game speed. This is game speed.
So the next game was the second game. We played Santa Clara, Steve Nash.
Yeah.
So I get in the game.
Let's talk about it.
Right. I played 7 minutes. I had to guard Steve Nash. I'm trying to pressure this boy. He blowing past me. I mean, it was. And I'm thinking, this Santa Clara, like, who is this dude?
Yes.
Yo, he gave us that work. We beat him. But next game we played North Carolina. They had what was the point guard's name, man? He ended up going to the league playing for the Clippers for a while. Vince Carter. They had Antoine Jameson.
Was Ed Cota there?
No, Ed wasn't there yet. Ed wasn't there. Shout out to Ed Cota, man. That's my man. We Facebook friends. We talk a lot. Ed was not there. It was you go. His name gonna come to me in a second. But he played in the league for a long time, man. He was a journeyman, and he was always on different teams. But he was a decent player. But anyway, we ended up beating them in the championship.
Mm-hmm.
But that was my first introduction to college basketball. And you know, your first game you played Steve Nash. Next game you played North Carolina. You don't have no time to warm up, man.
Not at all.
It wasn't no.
Were you? How was that for you mentally, coming from
Yeah.
state champion? You the man that was in New Jersey, and then how was that for you mentally? And were you second guessing yourself or questioning yourself?
Oh, no doubt.
Or did you know that you were going through the process?
Nah, I was second guessing myself because when you come to a great team like I came to, you don't have time to make mistakes. You got to play perfect. Whereas guys that will go to teams where they're not that good, they can go out there and they can play right away.
Yeah.
And they get their confidence. Me, if I got in the game, I couldn't make a mistake because they could put Kerry Kittles in or Alvin Williams, right? I'm not playing at like the bottom team in the Big East where I could go out. So that was hard because you got to go out and play perfect basketball. And when you're a freshman, you're not going to play perfect basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, trying to get my rhythm playing in like little 5-minute spurts, I wasn't used to that. I had never done that in my life. Yeah. And it was hard.
Play through mistakes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not hearing the buzzer and looking like who.
Right. and truthfully, the games that I played the best was games where guys was hurt and I had to be out there. So one of my first big games was against Pittsburgh. I think Eric Ebers got hurt. I had to get out there and I started the second half. Mm-hmm. Then my next game, Georgetown, I got 19 points. Eric Ebers didn't play, so I had to play a lot. Mm-hmm. So it was when I had the extended minutes that I put in the work,
Gotcha. Yeah. So what are some of your most, once you got in your groove, you say you're starting the next year. What are some of your most memorable games from your career?
I'm going to tell you some good and I'm going to tell you some bad. Let me start with the bad, man.
Yep.
Yo, man, we played at Georgetown, man. We had beat them earlier in the year. We were ranked, I think, 6th in the country. They was ranked 5. We beat them at the Spectrum. We held Allen Iverson to a cool 22, right?
A cool 22.
A cool 22. Yo, man, we went down. Back then, they was playing at US Air Arena in Landover, Maryland. I live in Silver Spring, Maryland, so I'm not too far from there now. Man, Allen Iverson. And Kerry Kittles didn't play this game. Kerry had gotten some trouble, and he was out. So when I tell you Allen Iverson dropped 39 or 38 on us, bro, I watched it the other day on YouTube. I had to turn it off, man. I mean, it was epic, bro. He did everything. It was like, I don't know, man. It was like they just kept running. They got every rebound, and they smashed us, bro. It was on CBS too. Billy Packer was doing the game. It was bad, man. But I just remember how could we beat a team handily? That's how the Big East was. We beat a team handily 2 months ago or a month ago by 10, 15, and you get scraped by like 30, like a month later. It's just crazy, right? And so that's one game that I remember, man. That was a
And you guarded AI as well? You guarded him?
A lot of the game. Well, we all tried to guard him. And it was me 1 minute, Allen Williams the next minute, Howard Brown the next minute, Steffi Penn the next minute. It did. So nobody was guarding. And then they had Victor Page.
Yeah, Victor Page. Yo, shout out to Victor Page, man. He's unsung. Nobody. I mean, you're probably the first person. I mean, I remember Victor Page and I pay homage because that was my man.
Yeah,
but you're the first person who's mentioned Victor Page in years, man. Victor Page was good. He doesn't get talked about enough, man.
Yeah, Victor Page was a scorer, man. He was.
I like him a lot.
He was out of Southeast DC. That boy could go, man. He could go, man. He was a great scorer. When him and Allen Iverson, they had green light. So and then they had these big guys. They had Othello Harrington, who ended up going to the NBA. People forgot. Then they had Jerome Williams, who ended up playing in the NBA for a lot of years.
They had a tough team, man.
This was the Big East,
Othello Harrington, Jerome. They had a great team, man.
This was the Big East, and this was back when people stayed a little bit longer. So
I appreciated that as well. I said to some people yesterday, it wasn't uncommon to look at the roster and see junior, senior. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt.
Men, man, that were groomed, man. Yeah.
So that was a bad memory, man. I remember we played Pittsburgh, man. my junior year, Big East tournament. We were having a rough year, but we beat them in double overtime at the Garden. You know,
Okay.
Howard Brown hits a shot at the buzzer.
I remember that game.
I remember that game going back and forth. And Pittsburgh had a guy named Bontigo Cummings.
Yep.
He gave us like 37. I think I had like 25. But we were going back and forth, back and forth. Bontigo ended up playing about 3 years in the league, I think. Mm-hmm. But I just remember that game being, because it went to double overtime, and we end up, Howie ends up hitting the shot at the buzzer. And I just remember seeing the fans and everybody jumping, man. And when you hit a shot like that at the Garden, like for anybody who's never played at Madison Square Garden, it's the best place to play in the world. Mm. And I mean that. Like people in New York, they know the game. You know, they got it's like a Broadway play. The floor is lit and the top is dark. Mm. So you can't see the crowd. They can see you. It's
wow.
set up like the stage, man. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, man. It's the best place to play, man. And I just remember that game being heated, going back and forth, and being so tired the next day because now we beat them, but we got to play Syracuse the next day.
Wow.
Now we got Jason Hart, Eton Thomas, you know, the next day. It just is how the Big East was, but it was just, that was a good time, man.
You definitely didn't get no breaks in the Big East back then.
None, bro. None.
Who were some other big time players you remember? Who was one of the toughest players you had to guard in college besides Allen Iverson?
I would probably say Scooney Penn.
Okay.
And he's a guy that nobody ever talks about as well. Scooney Penn, they beat us in the Big East championship my sophomore year, and we were the #1 seed. But he was a tough cat, man. He was from Boston. I played a lot against him at AAU. Shout out to Boston, man. People forget how tough BABC was. Mm-hmm. And ask anybody from the mid-'90s about BABC, Boston Amateur Basketball Club. Them boys was scraping everybody in America with like 7, 8 people. Again, Scooney Penn, Wayne Turner. They had a guy named Eggy McCrae. I don't know what happened to him.
You say Iggy McCrae?
Eggy McCrae was his
name.
Eggy
McCrae, I remember that name. I remember him.
Yeah, they had Randall Jackson. They had some ballers. But Scooney Penn was tough, bro. Mm-hmm. And he came off that pick and roll. He was short. He was stocky. He was strong. Think of like a Khalid El Amin type
Husky.
Of
Yep.
He ended up transferring and going to Ohio State, and he led them to the Final Four. But he was very tough, herky-jerky off the dribble, man. El Amin was another one who I would say a lot of people forget about. He looks fat, right? Yeah. So you like
he always remind me of Gerald Levert,
right?
like a basketball version of Gerald Levert.
Right. He looks fat, right? You like, oh, he gonna be slow? No, fast, quick, bounce off you, spin, agile.
Yep.
Yo, he could play. So he was a tough matchup for me as well. Those two guys, I think I had the most trouble with.
Got you. Shout out to my man
Allen Iverson. Not Allen Iverson. That's not even a discussion.
That don't count. Shout out to Duval Simmons checking in. He was mentioning some of the players. Chris Herron, Randall Jackson, Bauman, Bruiser.
I forgot Chris Herron was on that team. So that's another one. So think about that. Scooney Penn, Wayne Turner, Randall Jackson, Chris Herron. Yo, them boys were scraping people, man. Shout out to Duval Simmons too, man. Out of Orange, New Jersey, man. So that year that we lost to Tim Thomas and Patterson Catholic, they end up beating Tim Thomas in the final game. So it was Orange High School versus Patterson Catholic, and they end up knocking them off. And so they won the whole thing. So Duval Simmons, he knows he took my tournament of champion title, man. I'm still mad about that, man.
No doubt. Shout out Duval. Appreciate that piece of history right there. Mm-hmm. Regarding college, what were some of your if you have any other games, any other memories, but besides that, what are some of your like accomplishments or accolades that you finished up with at Villanova?
Well, when I finished at Villanova, I think I was 6th or 7th in assists. I cracked the top 10 in steals all time. You gotta remember now, we've had so many great players after that.
Yeah.
You be looking at your records go up and up the list. You know what I'm saying? These guys come in, you know, you got Kyle Lowry coming in, you got Randy Floyd coming in, you got all of these people, Scotty Reynolds,
all them guys.
All these guys, man, keep coming in after you. and it's just like you can't keep a record because these guys could play, man. So
That's right.
and we're very proud. Don't get me wrong, very proud
For
of
sure.
all of these guys because they, you know, I think we started the Villanova thing, but they elevated it, man.
Yeah.
They elevated it, and you know, you'd be very proud when you watch those guys. But as I, you know, I think I made All Big East my senior year. I was able to get drafted by the Lakers for the 30th pick. But for me to look up in those record books and see like, oh my God, you know, of all those years, I'm in the top 10 in assists and in steals. That meant a lot to me, man, because we had some great players go through Villanova even before I came. Great players, man.
For
John
sure.
James, you know what I'm saying? We had a lot of guys, Ed Pinckney, guys from back in the day that could ball, you know?
Yeah, shout out to Gary Massey, Villanova alumni. That's my guy.
Gary Massey, that's my man. We're actually on a Villanova alumni group together working on some things for the students right now. G-Mass.
Gary Massey, that's my man. That's my OG right there for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, so take me back to okay. I want to talk to you about. I want you to relive NBA draft night for me and like where you were and what that experience was like. But before that, you were a senior. You graduated, correct?
Yeah, I graduated my degree in communication.
Right. So, did you know that you were ready for that next stage? Did you feel in your mind that you were ready?
Well, I thought, you know, my junior year, towards the end of the year, I started playing well, right? And I don't think I was on anybody's NBA radar at that time. But in the Big East, I always played big in the Big East tournament. Anybody can go and see that. There ain't no games that I had, for the most part, after my sophomore year, I had less than, you know, 20, 18. I was always putting in a little work. So whenever I was able to play on that stage at the Garden, in the NBA arenas, and against the top competition, I always, after junior year, I had some big games in the Big East tournament. And I was like, you know, I think I can play on the next level. But I had to show it. You know what I'm saying? So senior year, I think I played pretty well. And, again, come Big East tournament, I put in the work.
Gotcha.
Now, we didn't win it, but I showed the scouts that I could play.
Gotcha.
So at this point, I'm like, well, if I can just get drafted, you know what I'm saying? I'll get in there and be able to.
If I can just get my foot in the door, yeah.
Right. So I got invited to the Portchester Portchester Combine, and I put in work there. I remember Tyrone Grant was there from St. John's and a couple other cats. And I played well, man. And then I got invited to the Chicago camp, and I played well there.
Okay.
So then most scouts started telling my agent, yo, John's going to get picked. It was just where. Yeah. And at this point, some of them were saying first round, and I was like, I'm going to go in the first round. Now, that was shocking to me. Yeah. They were saying I was playing so well. And I went and worked out for the Lakers, and they were like, yo, we're going to take you at 23. So I remember draft night. Can I go to draft night now?
Of course. Yep.
I remember thinking,
like were you at the crib? Like where were you at?
Yeah, I was at the crib because I was still. People were saying you could be 20 to 40, right? Yeah. So you know how that is. You don't want to be up in the room thinking I wasn't gonna be no lottery pick. I knew that.
No doubt.
I remember like thinking, all right, the Lakers said they're gonna take me at 23. So every team you work out for, and anybody that's been drafted, no, any team you work out for, when they come up on the clock, you go up, you ready. You know, if a team that you ain't work out for on the clock, you ain't gonna pick you for the most part.
Yeah.
So, you know, a couple teams, I think Jason Terry got drafted, Montego Cummins went. These are guys that I felt I was on the same level at that time. And then Lakers came up at 23, and I thought for sure they was going to take me, and they took Devin George, which not a bad pick. Devin ended up – they took me at 30, but I was the first pick of the second round. And that changes a lot when it comes to the money and the amount of years you play, because when you're first round, you get 3 years guaranteed. Mm-hmm. So that gives you 3 years to be able to show what you can do. Second round is different. You know, you can get a 1 year deal, you can get a 2 year deal. So that one slot, I think, for me, hurt. You know what I'm saying? Because when you get that chance to prove yourself for 3 years, that's a lot better opportunity. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But I went to one of the best teams in the league, and I won an NBA championship. So that opened up a lot of doors as well. You know, overseas and in life for me. So,
so spend a few seconds. Take me back to when, who you were with, when you heard your name called, and then kind of what that was like, man. How
let me tell you the craziest thing, Big Star. I ain't hear my name get called. This is the crazy thing. So
don't tell me they went to commercial or something.
No, that's not what happened. I'm at my house. Bunch of people from the neighborhood. Everybody over there. We drinking, we partying, we waiting. I'm telling people, yo, this is where I work. I can get drafted 17 Atlanta. I can get drafted 23rd, Lakers. And they keep passing me. So after the first round is over, it was 29 picks. First round is over. I'm disgusted, right? Mm-hmm. I walk upstairs. I tell my pops, "Yo, Dad, I don't know, man. I might not get drafted." My pop says, "Yeah, you might be right." So I go outside in the backyard, sit by myself because I'm embarrassed. I'm like, man, what if I had this party and I don't get drafted? All these people over here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
wow.
I'm in the backyard sitting, and I just hear everybody. Ah! And I run inside. I didn't know. I was outside.
You missed your one shiny moment, dog.
Didn't even hear it, man. They just tackled me. I'm in the house. Everybody run outside. We out in the front, and people driving in the neighborhood. I didn't even hear my name get called, bro.
Dog, and it was no DVR. It was no rewind that.
I taped it, so I saw it later.
Okay.
I watched it on cassette or whatever we had back then, right?
But you ain't see it at the time.
I ain't see it live, bro. I ain't hear it. I just heard a lot of people yell. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man. So what was that like for you when they came out and you just heard
it? It was outstanding. It was great, man. Right after that, everybody's jumping, everybody's congratulating. My sister's crying. Jerry West called me on my house phone. I'm on the phone.
Wow.
And then after everything calmed down, I was like, oh my God, I'm about to play with Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. Right? Now, I had Shaq's basketball card. So I knew me and Shaq had the same birthday. As a kid, I knew that, right?
And he from New Jersey.
And he from Newark, right? I didn't play against Kobe Bryant at AAU, right? Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, used to come up to Villanova because we was recruiting him.
Yes.
So Kobe Bryant used to play in our arena against his Chester and state championship games.
At the DuPont. Yeah.
Kobe Bryant used to be in the locker room. So I know him, you know what I'm saying? So I was excited. And the biggest thing for me was I always loved Los Angeles from watching the movies, and I had never been. So I was so excited to be able to go out to the West Coast, see the palm trees, ride down Crenshaw. Wow. That kind of stuff for me was what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. So I'm gonna just carve out this time. I don't want to ask any questions because this is very sacred ground right here.
Yeah.
Talk about. Take me from bridge the gap between that draft day to your first day on the job.
Yeah.
Getting introduced to the guys and just take me through your professional experience, man. Tell me some Kobe stories. Tell me some Shaq stories. Just talk about it, man.
So excited to get there, And one of the things that I remember is when I got there, we had to go get our physicals, and the first person I see is Kobe Bryant at the doctor. I get his physical right before I get mine. So we chop it up a little bit. We know each other from high school. And I remember, man, and this is a good story for anybody on a call from Philly. I remember saying to him, "Yo, what's up, man? How you liking it out here? When you been back home, meaning Philly, Mm-hmm. And he was like, "Man, I don't go back home." Basically, and he was basically saying like, "This is my home now." Philly. He was mad at Philly. Like he literally was like, "Yo, Philly didn't show me no love back then." And I thought about it, and I could relate because I know what it's like to be in that area, to be in Philly and be an outsider, right?
Yes,
Even though you from Lower Merion, you ain't from Philly.
You ain't from
right?
Philly.
You know what I'm saying?
Philly, yeah.
You ain't from Philly. And so I think that bothered him, man. Mm-hmm. I really do. And so if you think to like when he got booed after he won the All-Star game in Philly, that stuff bothered him. Yeah. And that was the one time I remember seeing his face that first time. And he was like, "Nah, I live in LA now." But anyway.
That's significant. I appreciate that.
That's big, right? Mm-hmm. But when I first came, we were still playing our preseason games in the Forum. They had just built the Staples Center. So we wasn't gonna play there until the first game of the season. Mm-hmm. So we were playing our preseason games in the Forum, the place that Magic Kareem built.
Yes.
And we were practicing at Southwest LA Community College. So a lot of our pickup games and stuff was there. So I just remember the first couple of days, man, I'm there. We playing pickup. Kobe's not there. Shaq's not there. It's just like me, Glenn Rice, Fisher, and I'm playing well. And then once Kobe and Shaq came, everything changed. Because Now the big boys. After about 3 days, now the big boys there. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Shaq, man. And I remember him telling me, "Yo, you gonna like?" I guess I wasn't playing fast enough. While he said, "You gonna stop stargazing? You ready to play?"
Yeah.
So that was my wake up call where I had to get out of like, okay, I'm playing with Kobe Bryant. I'm playing with Shaquille O'Neal. I'm playing with Brian Shaw. That was my wake up call to say, "Yo."
Wasn't Robert Horry with you guys too?
Robert Horry, right? Ron Harper, right? That was my wake up call to say, all right, I got to ball. I got to go ball. I got to. Tyronn Lue, yeah. I got to get.
Y'all had an all-star cast on that team,
man.
Rick Fox
was on the team. Derek Fisher, Ty Lue, Brian Shaw. We had Travis Knight, who played at UConn.
Y'all had an all-star cast.
We had John Sally. People forget we had AC Green.
Y'all had an amazing. Y'all had like an all-star bench as well.
We did, and you know, I learned a lot from those guys, man. But the preseason for me, and you gotta remember, I'm a second-round pick, so I'm not guaranteed to make the team. So I really had to ball out. Yeah. And the preseason, I had to do my thing. You know, first round, those guys are guaranteed, so I had to still play my way onto the team. So I think I did it well enough, and they kept me, which was good. You know,
that's a blessing, man, because it's been the ongoing theme of you know, quite a few of the individuals that I've interviewed. You know, guys have gotten there.
Right.
You know what I mean? They worked out for a couple teams, but when it came to that last thing, something would happen. Like they would get cut, or they chose to take this guy and this and that. So
it happened to me a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, but on that team, that speaks volumes as to what you did, to what you showed them for them to keep you.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think they needed a defender, right? And they had Derek Fisher, but Derek D was a little smaller, right? They had Ty Lue, but he was smaller. And at this point, they brought Ron Harper and Brian Shaw on. But remember, these guys are older at this point. So they wasn't locking nobody up. The reason I think I was able to make the squad was because I was really defending and getting after people. You know, I remember I took the ball from Penny Hardaway. It was like crazy to me. Like I stripped Penny Hardaway and went down and laid it up. And I remember thinking to my as I'm laying it up, yo, that's Penny Hardaway. Like literally, I grew up watching this cat, right?
That's right.
But I knew that if I played defense, I could make a mark for myself on the team because I was a bigger guard and I was young. The other guys like Ron Harper and B. Shaw, they were big, but they couldn't move no more on the defense. You know what I'm saying? And T. Lue was a good defender, as you know, D. Fisher, but they were small. Yeah. So they needed a guy like myself that year. Yeah,
I appreciate you mentioning that. For any kids watching this, you know your role. You know what I'm saying? You don't always got to be the scorer. You ain't always got to be the phenom on offense. You can strictly be like a Ron Artest, Dennis Rodman, John Linehan, and totally have a solid career just playing your role. You know what I'm saying? And playing it well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah. But yeah. So just tell me, so just, you know, any memorable experiences from your Lakers.
Well, one thing I will say, man, is that, you know, when you play on a team like that and then you have a coach like Phil Jackson, I think first I went from stargazing to not appreciating, which is crazy, right?
Yeah, wow.
Because I look back
from
on
one
it,
extreme to the next.
I went from stargazing to not really taking in what was happening
and where you were. Yeah.
Right. Because I'm in Los Angeles. I'm playing in front of Jack Nicholson and Denzel Washington, Snoop Dogg in the locker room. Like, we ain't playing for the Bucks, man. This is the Lakers, bro. Like, and
this is Hollywood.
This is Hollywood.
Like,
yeah. And I think as it goes on, see, you can't stay, like Shaq said, you can't be stargazing because you can't play like that. So you do have to get your mind out of that. Oh my God, you know, I'm in LA.
I can't believe this.
You gotta play.
I'm here trying to get autographs.
Right, but with that also comes that you don't take in and appreciate everything that's happening.
Yeah,
and I don't know how to balance that. I don't know if anybody can because I would love to sit around and say, man, that's Denzel Washington right there. You know, I got pictures with Vivica Fox, right? But you got to focus on playing.
Yeah,
if you want to have a career. Excuse me. So now I'm also playing for Phil Jackson, who coached Michael Jordan, coached Scottie Pippen, man. Like, you know, you want to listen, you want to learn from these guys.
Of course.
Phil Jackson had a lot of interesting ways of, you know, coaching. You know, he didn't really tell you what you needed to do. He put you in situations and let you learn what you needed to do.
Gotcha.
You know, he introduced us to yoga. This is back before yoga was the thing, right? I do yoga every Sunday now. Back then, we were laughing like, "What the hell is this? Like, what are we doing?"
It definitely wasn't, you know, synonymous with basketball like it is now.
You know who took it serious? Kobe. Right? He was the only one, right? All the rest of us, we laughing. They introduced us to meditation, right? So we do a lot of meditation. Phil Jackson was a Zen Buddhist, so he used to like burn these sages and take them to the locker room, right? You know, we're learning the triangle offense, which none of us at that point knew. You gotta remember, this is his first year, so the triangle is new for everybody. I would say we had a little bit of the rookies, we had a little bit of a added advantage because we played summer league. So me and Devin George had run a triangle all summer. Yeah. The veterans were just learning it. So I think that also gave us an advantage in the preseason for me to be able to make the team because I knew where to go, I knew where to run, I knew
exactly.
These guys are learning, you know. So it was a great experience, man. You know, there's something in me though that sometimes, like the Clippers, they were in the same building as us, man. Shout out to my man Eric Murdoch, who was playing for the Clippers, Anthony Avon at that time. They had a guy named Charles Jones from LIU who was the #1 scorer in the country. But they were trash. Clippers were trash. Yeah. And a lot of times we be coming out of practice and they be walking in and I be looking over there like, damn, I could play over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I be looking over there like, damn, I mean, we wouldn't be winning, but I'd get more minutes.
But I'd be over there playing,
And you can't help but think that when you, because the NBA is about getting in the right. Everybody that's drafted and most people that get to the NBA can play. Yeah. Stephon Marbury said that to me one time, man. He was like, yo, we all could play. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But you got to get a coach or you got to get in the right situation where somebody believes in you and you get a chance to show what you can do. Yeah. And that doesn't always happen when you're on great teams. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's the one thing. People always ask me, would you give the ring back for 10 years in the league? And I'd be like, I ain't answering that. You know what I'm saying? Tough question to answer.
And how many years? You were just with the Lakers that 1 year?
I was with the Lakers the 1 year. The next year,
I went with the Nets, right?
I went to the Dallas Mavericks.
Okay.
No, I went to the Knicks first.
Okay.
Forgot about that. I went to the Knicks. I was there with Sprewell, Allen Houston, Chris Childs, Charlie Ward. Now, I'm gonna keep this real with you, man. And people might not believe me. Any of my friends on here that's watching, will they can corroborate this story. When I tell you the first I got cut from the Knicks. It was the first time I've ever been cut in my life. I remember Allen Houston calling my trainer, the guy that trained me, worked me out, and he's saying, yo, John is up here killing in practice. And my trainer called me and told me, he said, your man, John Celestand's up here killing. And I remember thinking, like, I was excited about that. I was like, yo.
Yeah, like, yo, they watching me. Yeah, I'm putting in work. They noticing, yeah.
Cut me the next day.
Are you serious?
And so this is where the business part of the NBA comes in.
Wow.
I think they cut me because there was a guy named Eric Strickland that they had just signed, and I was destroying him, man. I think they got me out of here because they knew they had to keep him, and they just signed him, and I was killing his confidence. They had to get me out of there.
Wow.
And I don't think they was going to keep me, so they was like, let's get this man out of here. Let him go play for somebody else.
Wow.
So they ended up cutting me, man. Then I got picked up by the Dallas Mavericks.
That's crazy.
I played with them the rest of the preseason. Then I got cut the day before the season started.
Wow.
So then I ended up going over to Europe. And, you know, once you start going to Europe,
you bounce around.
Big-time teams, you start making the money, it's hard to pass that up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So go back. So tell me about the championship. Winning, being a part of the championship, 2000 championship with the Lakers, man.
Yeah, man. So I didn't play during the playoffs, right? But seeing that live, man, because I'm a rookie, so I'm watching playoff atmosphere basketball, man. We playing against I don't know if y'all remember. This is the year where we went to Game 7 with the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah.
When they had Rasheed Wallace, what's your boy name? Steve Smith, Stoudemire, Scottie Pippen, right? Yo, this was a series, man. They
the stuff that we normally be watching on TV.
On TV. I'm right there. I'm right there, man. They up 20 points going into the fourth. I think the fourth quarter they was up 8. We went in. It was they was up 18. I remember being on the bench thinking, well, this is it for us. It's this game over. And I have never seen NBA players in my life get so tight. Yo, they was missing layups. They was missing free throws. They was missing wide open jumpers. They basically just choked it, man. You know what I'm saying? And, Brian Shaw hit a couple big shots. Then Kobe, you remember the lob to Shaq.
Yes.
And they just basically gave us the game back.
Was there any big shot Ori in that series at all?
I don't think Rob made no big shots that series.
Okay.
But I want to say we took it. But they gave it to us.
Gave it to y'all. Wow.
They gave it to us, bro, because all they had to do was hit a couple shots, hit a couple free throws.
Just close it out. Close it out.
They couldn't do it. And it was almost like the moment got too big for them, man.
That's crazy.
And so that allowed us to go on to the next round. Then we played the Pacers in the finals. And, some heroic stuff there, man. Like Reggie Miller was getting older, but he could play.
Still playing, yeah.
They had Rick Schmidt, Austin Crocier. They had they had Mark Jackson then. Couple other guys like I can't remember right now, but it was a tough series, man. It was a tough series, but I just remember Kobe Bryant. Kobe sprained his ankle, had to sit out a game. We lost. He came back and had a big game, and then we went back to LA and closed it out. And winning the championship, man. Like, can you imagine being a rookie and you splashing champagne and you confetti everywhere and celebrities in the locker room? It was unreal, man.
I remember if you YouTube, like if people Google your name and look at the images, the one picture comes up of you guys on that the bus thing or whatever at the top, parade. Yeah, y'all sitting there with the trophy. You're sitting there.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? I was like, yo, that's great memories, man.
It's great, man. And to win it in a city like LA, that's probably one of the best basketball cities from an NBA standpoint. And the history there, man, it was just great. And it was almost, I tell people this a lot. It was almost like a pinnacle too early for me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like at 21, 22 years old, I'm winning an NBA championship.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get much higher than that.
That's it. That's it.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, that's it.
So, yeah.
Tell me, before we leave that chapter, tell me about Kobe Bryant, man. He's passed. He's city of brotherly love guy. We all have history with Kobe. He passed tragically. Just tell me something about him, man.
Whew. Man, that when that happened, man, that not to make this about me, but I will say this. I was at work when I heard, and it's never been a more lonely feeling in my life, right? Mm-hmm. Because, I got a regular job now. I work in DC, but when somebody like that passes and everybody knows and everybody's walking around the city, did you hear what happened? Did you hear? And I couldn't help but think, there's nobody in this city of Washington, D.C. right now that feels like I feel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because y'all all know him.
Yeah.
But I played with him. I'm walking down the street.
But if y'all know my history with him, y'all would understand what I'm going through. Yeah.
Right. I'm walking down the street about to get on the train to come home. People walking past me talking about how they feel. And I'm like, nah, man. You don't know how this feels.
Yeah, y'all deserve to talk about this right now.
I'm not saying I don't deserve it. They do. I'm just saying it was a lonely feeling, man, being in the city by yourself. Man, there was I never played with Michael Jordan. I've never seen nobody work like Kobe Bryant. there were times where, one of the things I prided myself on was like being that like the first person to practice. That was like my thing at Piscataway High, Villanova. And Kobe, man, like I would get to practice sometimes an hour and a half before practice. He already there. One time I came 2 hours before practice, he was there, man. It used to make me mad because I wanted to get there and work out because I like to work out by myself, quiet, nobody in the room, and he was already there. And so
everybody wants to be the first in the gym, last to leave.
Yeah.
You trying to be first, and he beating you first.
Yeah, and it made me mad, man. And so I tell you, when I gave up, when I knew it was over, we played. I think we played the Washington Wizards in preseason, and people might not remember this, but Kobe broke his wrist, right, in the preseason. So, which is one of the reasons why I was able to make the team because I got to play a lot, and I played a lot at the beginning of the season, 1999, because he was out. So, I always tell people, I was like, yo, I remember thinking in my head, yo, man, he ain't going to be the first person to practice tomorrow, right? I remember thinking that, like.
Because he broke his wrist.
Yep, I was like, I'm finally going to beat that sucker to practice. Oh, man, I got up, man. I got to the gym. I walk in, Gary Vitti, Lakers longtime trainer, taping my ankle. I was like, yo, man, who's the dribbling? I'm thinking it's a ball boy or something. He just looked at me like, you know who it is. And I walked out there, and this dude had a cast on his right hand, and he was shooting jumpers with his left hand. And at that point, I remember thinking, if that's what it takes to be great, I can't be that great. I can't be that. You know what I'm saying? And that was a sobering moment for me. Like, I had worked so hard my whole life, and I realized I cannot work harder than him. It's not going to happen. And it's like deflating, man. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I'm going to go ahead and step in this line. I'm gonna step in this line over here.
Yeah, man. And he's younger than me. You know what I'm saying? I was in games giving him 40, but that's when I realized, like, nah, he's a different animal, man. And he was, that's just the way he was. I remember one time we were at the gym. We were both hurt, and we stayed behind. The team went to play somebody. And so we had to go to the gym and work out. And we were doing these drills, and he got the cast on his hand. We doing these triangle offense drills with the trainer. And I'm throwing him the ball, like, soft, because I don't want to hit. And he cussed me out, man. He's like, what the F you doing, man? Like, throw the ball, man. What's wrong with you? You feeling sorry for yourself? Like, I was like, yo, man, this is a walkthrough. Like, we just going. He's like, nah. He was mad. He's like, you wasting my time, man. Go home.
Yo, coach, get somebody in here that's going to throw me the ball.
Really, man. If that's the type of dude he was, Like, last thing I'll tell you, we got in a fight one time. It was in a walkthrough, right? We was playing, I don't know, I was scout team. We walking through the play. We walking through. Like, literally,
walking
how
through.
Basketball players know. You pass, you walk. They just trying to show you what the other team's going to do. I'm trying to throw the ball in the post. He tipping the ball because everything he got to do full speed. So he's tipping the ball, right? So he tipped it. Then the next one, he tipped it. Then I just had enough. I said, what the are you doing, man? Like, I just went off. I pushed him, And then he had to separate us. That's how intense he was. He ain't talked to me for like 2 days after that. Like, we literally got in a fight over you tipping a pass in a walkthrough. Like, what are you doing?
Like, let me pass it to the next guy so we can finish walking through, so they can show us what we're going to do in the game.
Everything he had to do, full speed, and that is why he was the greatest. And but when that passing, man, you just always think you're gonna have more time. I hadn't talked to him in years. I think I saw him in 2008. I was out in LA. I do remember this. I was out in LA doing some media work, and I was behind the rope, and he saw me out the corner of his eye, and he kind of gave me the, it made me feel good because I had been out the league for a while, and you see guys that still are playing, and you not. There's something in you that kind of, you know what I'm saying? But you always think you're going to have more time.
Yeah.
or and so I reached out to Devin George after that. I called some guys, man, because you just don't know, and it was just sad, man, because he's one of the greats, bro.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you being transparent and sharing those memories. We need to hear those stories, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey, we got 15 minutes left. So real quick, just anything you want to say about your overseas career? How'd that go?
It was good, man. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because overseas, I played against some great players over there too, man. People don't realize. Yo, I was looking down one time. I was looking down the other end. It's Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. Yo, when I tell you, this joker gave me I'd never been jab stepped that hard in my life. This joke gave me a jab, and I'm telling you, I went like over here somewhere.
Like he crossed you over.
I played against Khalid El Amin. I'll be putting my phone in.
Yeah, take your time.
Khalid El Amin, man, overseas. Felipe Lopez. Guys where you be like, what happened or where they at, Yeah. There were a lot of guys. I played against Michael Pietrus before he came over here. Tony Parker when he was like 17. Played for Paris. He got in the game at the end of the game. Manu Ginobili. I'm on the post. Manu Ginobili's posting me up talking about you too little. He couldn't even speak English that well. He was posting me up. Like, I played against big-time players because I played in the EuroLeague. So, I really enjoyed it. But the best thing about it for me was the experiences, man, outside of the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't travel a lot as a kid. So being able to go to Paris, I played in Berlin one year. I played in Bologna, Italy. Being able to see that atmosphere in Italy, man, where people are like screaming and throwing stuff at you. Playing in Greece. Anybody that played overseas?
Who'd I hear? Somebody. Rashid Brooklyn, bro. Oh my gosh, she had
Brooklyn,
the funniest
bro.
stories. Brooklyn, bro. He had the funniest stories of overseas. He was saying he told me he was like, yeah, man, and games where they would set fires in the stands.
Yes.
And they would beat these jumps. And I was saying, wait, set fires in the stands. He said, Big Star, wait, no, that was every game.
Yo, they do that. I remember we was playing against team in Israel, man. I forgot what the team it was, and AJ Guyton was on the other team. Remember AJ Guyton?
Yeah.
And, me and him was talking about that. Like literally, they had something in it. They were blowing something. It was like Jamaicans, man. Like they were blowing something, and it was like fire in the stands while the game was going on.
Yes,
It's wild, man. And depending on where you play, depending on the countries, especially the Southern European countries. When you're in Greece, Italy, Israel, the countries down there, that's where it get real crazy. Spain. So I had a great time, man, because of the experiences, more than just the basketball.
Of course.
It was the traveling, man. I visited, over 50, 60 cities, man, places I had never been to.
That's amazing.
All them places that all those guys come from. Like, we used to go play in Serbia and Montenegro, but back then it wasn't called Serbia. It was called Croatia.
Croatia, yeah.
Yo, man, those guys from the hood, man. Mm-hmm. Like, that's why those guys can play. Yeah. All those guys with the itches on their names, Vucevic, they come from the dirt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We think we in the hood here. Those dudes come from and all they got is basketball. That's why you see so many of them Europeans coming from the Serbian countries. You know what I'm saying? So it was some great experience.
Yeah. And they're fighting through political wars and you know what I mean? Like for them it's like survival, man. It means a lot.
Right.
It means a lot for those guys.
That's right, man.
That's right. So two things, and then I'm gonna try to carve out a few minutes for a little Q&A at the end. If you can, man, just sum up just reflect on your total experience, man, your basketball experience, your entire journey, and what are some things that the game has taught you, man? What are some things that you've learned from your experience?
Man, I work in DC now for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, right? I work in media, and there are days at work, man, when I think I'm tired, and I'm just sitting in front of a computer reading contracts and reading proposals, right? And I think back to what I had to do to be a great basketball player. And I realized that I can go a little longer. I can work an extra hour because what I did.
You got to think about those moments of Kobe beating you in the gym with the cast on.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? This is nothing. What I had to go through trying to guard, the great players in Philadelphia or New York or running those suicides, being able to work with people, right? To be able to work together to a common goal. That's helped me in my business life. You know what I'm saying? That's why so many people want athletes, because they know we can put in extra time. They know we're willing to push through things. And also, learn how to lose, man.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest lesson.
Yeah.
I've noticed that people that don't play sports, they don't bounce back from setbacks as easy or as quickly. And not everybody. I want to typecast people, but as athletes, man. Because we have gone through so many times where you lose and then you got to play in 2 days, or maybe the next day, or if it's AAU, maybe in an hour, right?
Of course. Yeah.
And so you got to shake it off and forget about it. Those things that I learned from sports, man, and the preparation, like you don't, if you lose, you go back to the drawing board and you re-strategize. You don't just go and do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And so, I see a lot of times in the business where I'm like, why are we doing the same thing we did last week, right? We playing the same team, right? We got to do something different, right? So all of those things, man, have really helped me, man. And just traveling the world, man, having to deal with different types of people. Basketball has done a lot for me, man. I would not be where I am without basketball. There's not one time where basketball hasn't gotten me some type of job, or somebody hasn't known my name through something, or hasn't done something for me, in some capacity.
No doubt. And lastly, man, for the younger basketball players watching this that'll see it now or maybe on YouTube, speak to them real quick. Give them about a minute. Just any keys to success, any words of wisdom for the young kids trying to make their way.
Well, for the young kids, I would say first and foremost, the school part, man. You know this, I know it. How many people in the neighborhood or that you played with that never got a chance because the grades wasn't there, or they got passed over for somebody less talented because that person could qualify.
Of course.
My mom was a teacher, so she wasn't playing that, right? I ain't have that problem. But there were a lot of guys that did. You got to make sure you have that part. You got to make sure you have that part. Yeah. I don't care how great of a basketball player is. If you can't qualify, or you got to be able to have that part. Because that part's going to help you whether you go and get a scholarship or not. Whether you go to the NBA and play or not. That's going to end one day, right? Yep. Because Georgetown, John Thompson just passed away. They got one of the Georgetown traditions is they take a deflated basketball and they keep it in the basketball front office because they want the players to see that ball, and it symbolizes what are you going to do when the air comes out of the ball.
Wow, that's powerful.
And all Georgetown players see that when they go to Georgetown. Yeah. So you gotta make sure you're well rounded, man. From a basketball perspective, you gotta always be willing to be there early and stay late. You gotta be willing to put in more work. It's so many people that could play basketball now. See, back in the day, it was a street game, right? Yeah. It was an urban game. Now it's a suburban game, right? It's people who have access. So even more people are playing the game. Back in the day, if you was from the suburbs, you had to go to Newark, or you had to drive to North Philly, South Philly, or wherever to get a good game, right? Yep. White kids had to come in from the suburbs and play in the hood if they wanted to get the real competition. It's not like that now. Yeah. You got everybody could play, and you got jokers coming from overseas playing.
That's right.
So you got to put in even more work if you want to be great. Don't tell me you want to be great if you're not even the best player in your high school. Don't tell me you going to NBA if you're a sophomore or you're a junior and you ain't all county yet or all league. Think about it. Yeah. You could be all city and not even be the best player in your state.
100%.
Once you are all state, that means you're a top 5 player in your state. When you go to college, everybody was a top 5 player in their state.
Exactly. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got to think about how good you got to be to make it at this game and how much time you got to put in. I can't remember many days from 12 years old to my 20s that I missed a day playing basketball unless I was either sick or hurt. Yep. I ain't do something. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I'll say my thank yous. I'll save those for the end. But right now, real quick, man, I just want to say my appreciation to all the viewers that have been with us throughout this John Celestan, Journeyman. If you guys have any questions, now's your time. If anybody out there that's watching this right now has any questions for my man John Celestan, the legend, if it's anything that you want to know about his pro career, high school career, life advice, anything, anything you're curious about, start typing your questions right now in the comment section. As John sees them, he'll answer them. So right now, if anybody has any questions for John Celestan, ask away. Before, let me see. Okay, I think we got a question here. Let me see. I'll pin it. Mike Mac 23 says, ask him about the time I had him up at 4 a.m. on New York Facebook post. LOL.
Shout out to Mike Mac, yo. Mike always be talking a lot of smack, yo. We're in this New York Facebook basketball group together, and Mike is one of the only jokers from Philly, right? And I'm from Jersey, so we give the New York jokers a lot of headaches, right? We like to talk a lot of smack. Mike always talking about how Philly was smashed New York. Sometimes I get down with Mike. Sometimes I get down with the New York cat. I go back and forth. No doubt. But Mike crazy, man. Shout out to Mike back, man.
No doubt.
Crazy, man.
Anybody watching this, anybody has any questions? I'm thinking some questions. We got a few minutes with John Celestan. I got something. Philly, Jersey, or New York, man? Who pound for pound? Remove yourself from New Jersey. If you're an outsider, you know what I mean, just like throughout the last like 20, 30 years.
Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. Yo, all right, so here's how I say it. Because
New Yorkers, I mean, you ask a cat from New York, hands down, New York is the Mecca, you know what I'm saying?
Man, I
might not Philly cats,
I might not answer this well. So New York, I think New York back in the 90s, it was heavy, right? Yeah. And especially the 80s. You go back to like Kenny Anderson and all them.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to admit, New York, it's a lot of hype, man. Like the one thing about New York and New York basketball, anybody from New York on here knows, I say this all the time. I say this to y'all face on the Facebook thing. New York's watered down. It's too much of a circus now.
Yeah.
All the outside people running on the court with the microphones and all of that, man. Whack, man.
Yeah.
Philly was always more gritty.
Mm-hmm.
It was like jokers in Philly played defense, right? So every game was hard. So I always, when I got to Sunny Hill and I came down and I started playing the Sunny Hill League, I was like, I don't know. I was always thinking like, who had the better players?
Yeah.
And Jersey, I think we were always caught in the middle. But I think over the years, Jersey has passed to me both Philly and New York.
Okay.
Right? The amount of players that come from Jersey, top of the line. You go back to like Jay Williams from Duke. You go to when Andrew Bynum was playing for the Lakers. What's your boy from Piscataway actually? That plays for Minnesota. Carl Towns. A lot of guys have come out of New Jersey, top players of the year. Al Harrington, all them cats back in the day. Shaheem Holloway.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick between New York and Philly, I'd go with Philly. And that's just over the last 10 to 15 years. If we go back to the 80s, New York, but Philly kind of consistently, I think over the last, 10 to 20 years has passed New York. But I'll say this, I think DC is past everybody.
DC, people be sleeping on DC. They definitely need to be in that conversation for sure.
Bro, I'm down here now. I went to a game one day. I was watching these boys go up and down and just dunk on each other's heads. I went to look in the paper like, man, where they ranked? These jokers wasn't even ranked.
Yeah.
Like, you got the Mather right around the corner. It's some heavy hitters down here, man.
Yeah.
The area, yeah.
Hey, real quick before I get to the people's questions, and we got a few more minutes. Is outsiders when they talk about top players in New Jersey history, everybody talks about DeJuan Wagner. Is DeJuan Wagner the best player in New Jersey history or no?
No,
okay.
I think DeJuan Wagner had the best career from a scoring standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I think DeJuan Wagner was a heck of a player. I'm not going to take nothing away from the man.
Mm-hmm.
But anybody that's on here knows I always say South Jersey's weaker. And everybody from Jersey knows this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know about Philly. Y'all may not know this, New Yorkers. North Jersey is much stronger basketball than South Jersey, and it's always been like that.
Gotcha.
DeJuan Wagner down in Camden, everybody was scared to play against Camden. Like, you go in the gym, you playing against the high. You know the conferences they played in was weak down there. It was no competition.
Gotcha.
Now when they came up North Jersey, they would win sometimes, but when they went against St. Anthony's a couple times, they lost. Right?
Okay.
It's different caliber of basketball in North Jersey than it is in South Jersey.
I understand.
I am not taking nothing away from
Yeah,
Wagner. Yeah, Wagner was a great player.
Mm-hmm.
But from watching him play, I just never saw, like, to me, he wasn't better than Jay Williams. Okay. He wasn't better than a Tim Thomas. He wasn't better than, Kyrie Irving. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm talking about just skill, watching them when I saw all those guys play live.
Yeah. You know now, I appreciate hearing this because I needed to, I need to hear this from a Jersey guy, from a Jersey guy. Because, us outsiders, we've seen who we've seen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just need to hear this from.
Kyrie Irving was the best high school guard I saw in a one game. Like, I remember calling my boy and saying, yo, I just seen a Joker come down the lane and dunk on somebody with his left. Like he was hands down to me the best guard I saw out of Jersey live. I'm not saying he was it was unbelievable.
That you've seen. I respect
that I saw live. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. I saw Bob Hurley. I saw a lot of great players. I'm talking about guard. I saw Shaheem. Mm-hmm. But Kyrie Irving, the athleticism, the ability to shoot and manage the game, it was unbelievable. Yeah.
Crazy. Vondell22 wants to know, would you change anything about your basketball journey?
Shout out to my man Delvon. That's my man. He played in high school with me. Would I change anything about my journey? Nah, man. Okay. If there's one thing I would change, it is one thing. I remember after my first year with the Lakers, my agent was telling me if they're not gonna guarantee you a contract. You're gonna have to come back and try and make the team again. Uh-huh. And I remember thinking, what? I played a whole year. They know what I can do. They got to give me a guaranteed contract. And my agent was like, well, if they're not gonna give you a guaranteed contract, we'll go try out somewhere else. We go, and that's how I ended up going to the Knicks. Mm-hmm. But what I found out later was Phil Jackson. The first day of practice, Devin George calls me on my cell phone and says, yo, where you at? They looking for you.
Wow.
So I realized that the front office, Mitch Kupchak, Jerry West had left. Mitch Kupchak was Jerry West had left. Mitch Kupchak wasn't communicating with Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson and them didn't know I wasn't coming back.
Oh my gosh.
So they wanted me back, and if they wanted me back, if I'm a tryout, so I look back on it, I probably should have just went back there, just rolled the dice with them.
You never know. You never know like what it would have turned out to. Yeah.
Right. But instead, I went to a new team with Van Gundy and the Knicks, and I told you that story. So if I had to change something, I would have went back there, tried back out again, tucked my tail between my legs, and maybe I would have played more years in the league. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. Lastly, what do you think about freshmen playing varsity?
I think if you can play, you can play. Mm-hmm. I don't think you should play varsity if you're going to play like 5 minutes. Yeah. Or you're going to play 10 minutes and then sit the bench. I think you should play JV or whatever and get as much court time as you can. But if you can play and you can hold your own, you should be able to play. No doubt. I'm not with that, like a freshman should wait his turn and all that. Yeah. I'm playing who comes to play and who's ready to play. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Now, I am totally against a guy playing 5-10 minutes a game just so he could play varsity when he could be playing 30 minutes JV, putting in work.
And get some rec,
And get some rec. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. That's right. Hey, well, I appreciate it, man. That's pretty much everything that I have for you tonight, man. I just want to take, a few seconds, man, just to say thank you so much. One, for your transparency. Thank you for your time. I know time is very valuable. Thank you for all the classic memories. Thank you for your contribution to the game. Thank you for all the memories that you've given to New Jersey, to the Piscataway community. I'm sure on behalf of them, I'm thanking you for them, all the classic games that they witnessed. I mean, you got some people, man, like high school basketball, man, you know, Tuesday, Friday nights, man, that's all they have. You know what I'm saying? They look
Yeah.
forward to coming to the games. They look forward to seeing their local guys.
Yeah.
And you gave them some memories, man. You know, you gave them the state championship and all that, man. God bless you, your family, your father and all he meant to you, man, filming your games and just being your dad. And just thank you so much for joining me here on my platform and believing in me and just giving me the time to, to help you share your voice and your story, man. And thank you for those Kobe Bryant stories, man. They're priceless right now, man.
Yeah, gonna miss that dude, man. I appreciate. He was one of the greatest, man, and I will never forget the memories that he created for me, championship that he brought, and the lessons I learned. And I appreciate you having me on the show, man. Talking about basketball, especially during these times, is awesome. It was great just seeing all the guys, man. Guys jumping on Philly, all the guys from Jersey, all the people that I played against, man. I wish we could all get together and just like reminisce and hang out every week.
No doubt, right?
But, you know, it'd be a lot of beer bellies and guts now, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's just great, man. Keep doing what you're doing, man. And, you know, keep having people talk about basketball, keep having those memories, and keep inspiring the youth as well, man. Because, you know, I think it's always great. One of the greatest things that pushed me was hearing from older guys, going to the gym, watching guys like Reverend Knight, watching Roderick Rose, watching Bobby Hurley, seeing those guys. You need something to dream on, man. And if my dad wouldn't took me to those games at the Rutgers Athletic Center, those state championship games, those big high school basketball games, I don't think I could have ever became the player I can. So show them kids what to dream about. Show them, let them see stuff, man. And what you're doing, bringing people on talking about the game, that's awesome, bro.
No doubt. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. And lastly, I'll be giving you a text or I'll call you later in the week. But if you could possibly in the meantime start trying to find that St. Pat's, Piscataway, find any of those games, man, we can arrange for me to get copies. I have a burner right here in my crib. I can burn the DVDs, mail them right back to you. So I definitely want to bring those memories back for the people and get them online, man.
I will find it and send it to you, because if you burn it and put it on some platform where I can never lose it, because I'm always worried about.
I'll put it on my YouTube channel and my website, and it's there forever. I can send you the link, you can share them, and then it's there forever. In case we lose, you lose the DVD, it's preserved forever. So that's what we need to do.
And it was a TV game with announcers, so wait till you see it. It's
legendary. And those games are special because they help you to really, because you're listening to the commentators, and they help you to really tell the story of what was going on that year. You know what I'm saying? No doubt. Yeah. All right, bro. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you, man. I'll be in contact with you to see if I can get them games, and bless you, man. And I appreciate your support.
Okay, Big Star. Talk to you soon, man.
All right, now. Oh, one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Any other legends that you're aware of that that I can get on the platform? Feel free to endorse some guys and help me make some connections. I appreciate it.
No doubt, man. Okay, we'll do.
All right, now.
All right, later.
Yep.